Hello and top of the morning to you. My name's Don Arleth and you're watching Morning World Today. It's a fresh day and I hope you've topped your coffee off and you get ready and we will start the day with everything that you need to know. Our press review with our one and only Sally Jastrzębska is coming up in just a moment. But first up, let's start off by summing up the most important headlines from the last 24 hours.
Hundreds of thousands of people are in Lisbon to celebrate World Youth Day, a Catholic festival that gathers young people from all over the world. The event's guest of honor, Pope Francis, has also arrived in Lisbon. Donald Trump is facing federal charges over his efforts to overturn his 2020 presidential election loss. This is the third time that the former president has been indicted in the last 4 months. At least 20 people have been killed and 27 remain missing in China, which is seeing its heaviest rainfall in 140 years. Meanwhile, in Japan, a typhoon has left more than 200,000 households on the island Okinawa without electricity. The Polish Ministry of Defense confirmed that Belarusian helicopters did in fact violate Poland's airspace. Previous statements differed as the helicopters had flown too low of an altitude to be detected by radars. Poland is currently strengthening its border defense and its officials have condemned the incident. Dutchman Martin van der Berg won the 5th stage of the Tour de Pologne on Wednesday after coming in second on Tuesday. Race leader Matej Mohoric took second place and secured the leading position. The final leg of the race was marked by a dangerous sprint crash that sent dozens of cyclists over handlebars just before the finish line.
And now joining us for the press review is Sally Jastrzębska. Excuse me, Sally. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. And, well, what's fresh on the docket this morning?
Well, I guess we're going to start with false alarm. New York Times is talking about this sort of potential threat that was actually, that did not happen in the end. It was a potential shooter on the Capitol Hill, false alarm. However, what it actually, tells us is that every now and then something happens around the White House, right? Not only we have mass shootings in the US, but every now and then we have a person trying to either break in, right, or sort of, doing other stuff. So I guess, it just says that both the Capitol and the White House are places of, that need to be, that there's, need to have high security. Luckily for everyone, the Senate was in recess. There was no shooter. So I guess just something to remind us to sort of that these kind of things could happen. Let's just put it that way. And moving on to the next one, a much more serious threat, sort of a potential threat from Belarus towards Poland, a hybrid warfare, something that Poland has been afraid of, especially after the 2021 migration crisis, right? We remember large waves of migrants trying to get into Poland from Belarus. And so this is why Poland is especially cautious. And now we had these helicopters from Belarus flowing into the Polish territory, so violating Polish airspace. So they weren't detected at first because they flew at a very low altitude. However, this has changed. And now the situation is going to be discussed also today by Poland's Prime Minister with a Lithuanian President. In just a couple of hours, they're going to, hold a meeting to sort of see what can be done to strengthen NATO's eastern flank, especially in the face of
Right, and hopefully they'll address perhaps potential ways they will respond to such future incidents as well.
Absolutely.
I wonder if there are any measures being put into place to make sure that they're able to detect low-flying aircraft as they come into Polish airspace.
Right. I'm not a military expert. I know there's more troops going to this Poland's eastern border with Belarus. I guess we'll have to wait and see what they establish, but I guess you can never be too cautious when it comes to Belarus, and especially because we have Wagner forces, right, stationed there at the moment or being trained there. So definitely a vulnerable region. And there's another place that has been struggling recently, and this is Niger, right, which has been in the headlines for the past 8 days since the coup in the country. So we have this general coming to power, ousting the president, Mohamed Bazoum, who then fled to Chad. We have Western African countries saying that if he's not reinstated, they're going to intervene militarily. We have the West deeply worried. So this is what the Newsweek is really talking about, but they're also stressing the fact that the Wagner mercenaries could really benefit from that, because Yevgeny Prigozhin actually said on Telegram, posted on Telegram, praising the coup, right? It gives an opportunity to the Wagner group. They're stationed in the Central African Republic and in Mali. They've been present in Africa for a while. They have various interests, right? Supporting various interests of the Russian state, unofficially before the sort of this whole thing with Prigozhin's,
Russians trying to take advantage of the situation. What's interesting this morning that I saw is that the United States has not shut down its embassy yet, and is trying to have diplomatic relations even with this military coup, while at the same time condemning it.
Right. I guess they have to sort of try and balance it out. But they have history of trying to sort of negotiate with various world leaders throughout decades. So I guess probably they're trying to wait and see, I guess, if Bazoum is going to be reinstated, or if this General Tiani is going to stay in power.
And the neighboring states have given what deadline for?
Oh, actually, I need to sort of. But anyhow, it wasn't a long time, right? So I guess we have to. We'll have to wait and see. But another article is also talking about this, because we're sort of on the Le Monde, right? It's talking about France in particular and its interest in the Sahel, because we have a large large number of French military present in Niger. Actually, Le Monde is talking about some 1,500 troops.
And they're still in the country.
Right. And so, and also there's 1,000 men deployed in the neighboring Chad. So all of this is a very important place for France, because, Paris has been engaged in efforts to combat the Islamic State and Al-Qaeda in Africa. We have to see the broader picture, right? There's a lot of migrants coming to France, so it's really from Africa. So it's really vital that these sort of sentiments that could be, sort of radical Islamist sentiments are, kept at bay, so to speak. So I think this is why they're on the continent. So this is very problematic for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And the French track record in that region is not very good as of late in the past several months, especially in Mali, as they've seen most of their forces withdraw from there.
Yeah, we had a coup in Mali and Burkina Faso, right? So the juntas are now sort of taking power there. So it could be, they're also sort of afraid of a domino effect, right, on these sort of countries that, following Niger, also other countries are going to, to follow the same scenario, which could be really catastrophic. This is what some analysts are saying. We have to keep an eye on Africa, see what happens there. Another thing that I wanted to mention, of course, is this neo-colonialism rhetoric that both the, the Wagner group used, but also which Russian, dictator Vladimir Putin used during the Russia-Africa summit, saying that Russia will support Africa in fighting neo-colonialism. So, a lot of forces are at play. People are trying.
At the same time, you have Russia blocking the Ukraine grain deal, which is going to cause enormous problems for impoverished nations of Africa, pushing, again, having another year of increased world food prices.
But he did offer them some grain, right? I mean, small quantities, actually, if you look at it in detail, but I guess it was, I don't know what he was trying to do.
Yeah, well, it seems like it's not even enough for South Africa. So this will be, that's also a very significant thing to point out and to follow.
Perhaps he's trying to use the carrot method. If they follow his lead, then perhaps he'll give them more grain or whatever Vladimir Putin is trying to accomplish. You never know with him. But definitely makes for interesting news and worth following. Now, on another note, in Portugal, we have Pope Francis visiting Portugal for the World Youth Day. Hundreds of thousands of people gathered in Lisbon to celebrate this Catholic festival. In a show of unity, and El País is talking about his itinerary for his stay in Portugal, and also some of the I would say delicate matters that he has to attend to. Right, like for instance, meeting with victims of sexual abuse in the Catholic Church in Portugal. Again, trying to address this issue that has been a problem, right, for the Catholic Church recently, and that requires sort of taking a closer look at the internal structures, which is of course a very brave stance. What else? Of course, meeting with young people. Some analysts are also looking if it's going to be one of his final, perhaps tours or World Youth Days that he's going to attend, because he's 86. Benedict was 85 when he retired, right? Sort of resigned from papacy. So, people are saying that perhaps Pope Francis is also going to do so. We don't know, right?
He also had some quite serious health problems as of late.
Right.
When we saw him get off the airplane yesterday, he was actually in a wheelchair, but as you can see in the picture, but he was actually in pretty high spirits. He had a big smile on his face. He looked in pretty good shape. So who knows? This may not be his final venture.
Right, so I guess we'll have to wait and see. For now, a very joyous occasion for the Catholics, important festival for the youth in Portugal. We're of course going to follow this in our news stories. And to sort of round up our recap of headlines and news, it's 100 degrees in South America. Washington Post, of course, is talking about weather anomalies and extremely high temperatures. And just to sort of give you an example, a weather historian, Mr. Goose, tweeted that this was an extraordinary winter heat wave for Chile, for instance, right? As temperatures climbed to 38.7 Celsius, a national record for August. Meanwhile, of course, in Asia, we have floods. This just, goes to show that the global warming is a real thing, and that we should indeed, ramp up our efforts to perhaps be more eco-conscious and do something about this environmental situation. And on this, I wouldn't say positive note, but on this important note, I guess we'll conclude. That's all I have for this morning.
40 degrees in winter. Well, that's quite a record temperature there in South America. Sally Yashchemska, thank you for joining us today, and thank you for presenting those stories for us. Now, it's time to take a look at what the rest of the day has in store. Take a look at these next stories.
Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki will meet Lithuanian President Gitanas Nausėda in the Suwałki Gap, a stretch of land that connects the NATO and EU members and which lies between Russia's Kaliningrad exclave and Belarus. The two leaders will discuss security situation at the Belarus border, threats posed by the Wagner militia which settled in Belarus and how to deal with them, and to give a news conference, according to Nausėda's office. Donald Trump is due to appear in Washington, D.C. federal court on Thursday to face conspiracy and witness tampering charges related to the former U.S. president's attempts to overturn his 2020 election defeat. This marks the third active criminal case against the former president, who is also the current frontrunner for the 2024 Republican nomination. Defense chiefs from West African regional bloc ECOWAS expect to conclude a two-day meeting in the Nigerian capital Abuja to strategize on last week's military coup in Niger. Regional leaders have warned that they could resort to force if the junta in Niger does not reinstate ousted President Mohamed Bazoum by the end of the week.
And now it's time to begin our discussion of the day on these three important issues. Joining us here is commentator Stefan Włodarczyk, and hello, sir, and Vice Chairman of the British Conservatives in Paris, Paul Thompson. Hello to both of you, and thanks for joining us today. Gentlemen, our first item of business this morning is, of course, Mateusz Morawiecki's visit to Lithuania to meet with President Nausėda concerning these escalations, if you will, in Belarus. And I think let's start off with Stefan. What do we think is going to come out of this meeting today? Do you think we're going to hear more information about a potential response if further provocations of this nature, such as the encroachment of Polish airspace, continue?
I'm not so sure that we will hear that, because this meeting today between the leaders of Poland and Lithuania are somewhat a response to the threats that were worded by the Belarusian dictator, Mr. Lukashenko, but before all, it's a response to the meeting in St. Petersburg of Lukashenko with Vladimir Putin. Then there were some quite absurd things that were said, but we are used to that with the eastern countries around Russia. What I call absurd was saying that the Wagner militia group might go on a trek to Rzeszów or Warsaw in Poland, which is a NATO member. Of course, this sounds very absurd, but probably the reason why Mateusz Morawiecki and his Lithuanian counterpart are meeting is that, as absurd as it is, it can't stay without a response. And those threats must be considered seriously, even if in practice it doesn't seem to be very serious threats, right?
Right. Now, Paul, again, going back to my question about a response, I think a lot of observers here, first asked the questions, why weren't these helicopters detected? They were filmed from the ground over Polish territory. Therefore, a lot of people have questions as to why these aircraft weren't detected. The official response is because they were flying at too low of an altitude. But I think a large part of the Polish public wants to know, as well as others in the region, is what should be the proper response to such incidents?
Well, the proper response would be to have Polish aircraft chasing the helicopters away from the territory. If an incident like that were to occur again, that is, one has quite regularly actually incidents.
Hey, yo, pussies.
Not in Poland, but in other parts of the
Let
world.
me check the light.
Incidents
Okay.
of
This is actually
the
okay.
Asia Pacific region, for example, of airplanes
Nice.
from one country
Hey, yo.
getting very near to or even crossing into.
Dudes, I took a
airspace in another
nap
country,
before the
and
stream.
and
I took a
there
nap.
is a
I
reaction,
took the best
of,
nap ever.
Aircraft of the country whose airspace was encroached upon.
The best fucking
guiding
nap.
the
Oh,
intruding
holy shit.
aircraft,
Yeah, I had
away
lots
from
of work
the-
today.
From the
We're having some busy
airspace
days
that shouldn't have been encroached upon. So
at a
that would
job.
be the,
And then I needed to sleep.
that would be the
Well, that's
That
the
would be the
traditional.
military
That's the
response.
traditional response, correct? I mean, we've seen this several times. I mean, NATO constantly scrambles jets
NATO!
that encroach into NATO airspace, and that's sort of a
Fellow
deterrent.
pussies, yeah, see?
But should it clearly
We're,
be stated that there are no, there's not going to be any shooting down, because there's a lot of
I don't know
rhetoric
if I'm
that
speaking
people are
over the polls. I don't want to be
saying out there
speaking
that,
over the polls.
if this incident does happen again, then NATO should actually fire on these aircraft. But wouldn't that be
Based.
rather escalatory?
No, it wouldn't be escalatory.
yes, I think it
Shoot
would.
them down.
Frankly,
Shoot
I
them
would be
off the
surprised
sky.
If such incidents were
Do some
to
pew,
be
pew.
repeated, but who am I? I don't have any. I can't say that for sure. But I think we're in the realm of gesticulation, an attempt to psychological warfare is really what's going on here, and I don't think there is any true military dimension in the sense that Belarus would be planning to have an invasion of Poland, for example. So I think that the dimension needs to be properly perceived, and I think it is one of communication, psychological warfare, and gesticulation, and it shouldn't be promoted to anything greater than that. I agree with the comment.
He looks very German.
There's something ridiculous about it all, and so it's serious, but at the same time, it shouldn't be given more seriousness than it's due.
Right, exactly. Than what it's worth. Okay, well then there's the issue with the Wagner.
I don't see the tiles.
We don't know how
Do I see the
Wagner
tiles actually?
Are in Belarus, exactly where they are, but we do know what was said in St. Petersburg.
Lithuania. Wouldn't Poland come to defend Lithuania? So they're fucked anyways.
Is this rhetoric concerning Wagner, as it was formerly? I mean, just a couple of weeks ago, it was a threat to the Russian state as such. Now it's being housed in neighboring Belarus. And, well, how is Russia and Belarus using the Wagner group? Are they using it for domestic propaganda purposes? Are they using it for international propaganda purposes, or both?
Wagner could do the funniest thing ever.
Yes, there's a mystery about what
try to invade Lithuania and get evaporated on sight.
If you want my opinion, I have the impression that
I don't want your opinion.
Wanted to retreat.
Where's the link? Poland is doomed. L Poland. Wait until you see this. Just this one truck passing the border of Lithuania. That's how they're gonna do the invasion. Not sending anything else, just that one. Dude, would you go against him? No, you wouldn't. Maybe it is coming out of his ass. Do you know whether it is? You don't. Do you want to get into the ass smoke? No, you don't. Lithuania pissed off at Ruski is based. Fucking based. No, you know why he looks German? I remember seeing this in Germany so often. Where the fuck is my... Germans tend to be very pink with blonde hair. They all look like this. Like you see an average German like teenager, she looks like this. It's kind of interesting how they have this like very specific look. I was there in the middle of the summer, so I guess they were even more pink than usual because they're not used to the sunshine. It was just, you know, it was interesting. Lots of very pink people in the street. It's like when they come here for tourism, but it's even worse than because like they get sunburned so easily, so you just like lobster looking people outside. Very, very, very funny. I'm sorry for you people. All the messages were nice. All the messages were nice. Nice. French. If the French gonna send the foreign legion and try to get the president back. Oh, hey, I actually opened a bunch of profiles on like news to look into what's happening, and a bunch of them are on Niger, but I don't really know what's going on there. I don't know what France is planning to do at all. I did have, where's the one piece of news? There's a plane carrying evacuees, which landed in Paris. I've seen that. I've seen one of them reporting. Which one of them reported? Which one? That the military action is going to be like the last line of resort, so they're not really planning to do anything about it. So we'll have to see how it, evolves in the future. What I did want to show you though, I have to show you my Twitter shit, okay? No, Zelensky! Hey, what is this, by the way? I didn't see the video. I saw the preview of this video yesterday. Is this... Are they intentionally doing this? Is this like some sort of Russian new thing? Is this like how, you know, like those previous videos of, you know, Russians being cringe and then getting drunk and falling around and everything, just looking embarrassing as shit? Is this the new thing? Like, do you think they filmed this and they're like, ha ha ha, going to upload my grandma looking real stupid online? Like, what? Who makes these videos? Someone has to be organizing this. It's weird at this point. There's been a lot of them. You think? I don't know. It's so weird at this point. Like, if 10 years after this war, turns out this was actually CIA embarrassing Russians worldwide, I probably wouldn't even be that surprised. It's so weird at this point. Like, why?
Мы, отряды Путина, обращаемся к тебе.
Can I just say I love how she says we Putin's troops, because these women are probably as well equipped and as well trained as Putin's actual troops. Also, this one looks familiar. Was she in another video? I'm not sure, but she looks familiar.
Какой смысл направлять беспилотников? Ваше военное действие уже проиграно. Оглянись назад на своих оставшихся
Megaphonians. Like Hungarians. Like Hungarians, if they vote for Orban, get some bag of potatoes, some flour.
С такой большой помощью за границей, поляков, всяких этих. Но это бессмысленно. Как ты можешь вот так как уничтожать свое население? Так нельзя.
Fucking ironic.
Нельзя. Ты проиграл. Подними руку и скажи: я капитулирую. Все. Больше от тебя никто ничего не ждет. Ты проиграл.
Long word for the Russian grandma.
Наше обращение к тебе.
Ленский, имей уважение к себе, к своему народу.
Who's cutting these videos and editing them?
Элементарно.
She's Lenski.
Подумай своей головой. Так больше продолжаться не может. Ты вообще человек или кто? Ты уже все проиграл, все потерял. Сколько можно вот это бесполезные жертвы?
Зеленский, послушай нас, отряд Путина. Ты проиграл.
See you again.
Тебе уже
Us Putin's troops, indeed.
Ты сам своих людей изгубил.
Hey, am I right?
И подними
taxes
руки
and...
или
Oh, I'm okay with paying more in
я
taxes.
сдаюсь.
I'm actually GG with that as long as we get proper healthcare. I think we're doing well when it comes to that. I'm a pro-tax person. I do think more of them should go towards our military and defense, though, so we don't have to rely on USA so much. But you won't see me complaining about taxes, my dude. Doesn't she look familiar? I can't figure out if she looks familiar or if her facial features look familiar. Maybe I saw her son or someone getting blown the fuck up, you know what I mean? So, yeah, but cute. Whoever's paying them, cute. Any other babushka selling potatoes? She looks familiar. I wonder if she was that. Oh shit, hey, by the way, guys, Georgians, talking about Georgians, I have something to show you. Wait, before we watch this video. Where's my dude? Where's my dude, Luca? Lucas is in European Parliament. I don't know what he's gonna do that, but he is in European Parliament. Big news, okay, big news. Lucas was very, very active in protests in Georgia against the Russian foreign agent law. He was very, very active in protests for European Union joining overall. So the fact that right now he is in European Parliament could mean good things. This could be good, okay? We'll have to see how this proceeds, but I'm quite positive about him going around. European Union arming itself like the US wants. US doesn't have to use the resources in the defense of Europe, but the US loses more of their influence in Europe. Yeah, that too. They're still going to be a really, really strong trading partner, though. USA is strong. Like, strong, fucking strong. You want to be on their side, whatever they're doing. So, I'm thinking we're still going to be very, very closely tied, you know. To look at some snail would be more interesting than those babushkas. Cruel, but also I see it.
Ни дня не было, чтобы эти долбоебы не показывали, какие они
What did you
охуевшие.
move,
Вот
Blissey?
реально, все им нахуй не нравится. Постоянные разговоры, почему мы понаезжали. Ебать, подходит сегодня, говорит, мол, вали назад в Россию. Что ты здесь забыл и все в таком роде. Я тупо хотел достать нож и зарезать пидора. Как до войны, так работали на нас, как рабы ебаные. А тут резко забыли, кто их, сука, кормит. Вот нас здесь очень много. Они не понимают, что если мы соберемся, то все здесь расшатаем, и им всем будет пизда, и нам за это ничего не будет.
Ah, you see, you let the menu fuck it up. You let the menu fuck it up. It's the same thing that's gonna happen to Serbia. Same thing is happening to Georgia now. You let too many of them in, they're gonna start claiming the place, and then you're fucked in the ass. So, yeah. You know, maybe be smarter on this. maybe be smarter on this thing, and just demand proper visas or whatever. I don't know. If we get together. Group of migrants who illegally crossed the border wall and started preparing to push them back across the border to Belarus. Oh, in that moment, other migrants started attacking Polish border guards with fireworks. Oh. Ah, okay, damn. Oh, damn. Why didn't mine a strip by the fence? Martin, holy shit. Oh, a pole, of course. Holy shit. Just, wait, I wanted to click on the linky. I wanted to click on this linky. What was this linky? Was it related to this? Oh, Europeans have lower salaries than Americans, and they also pay more in taxes. I'm actually, unironically though, I'm okay with that. Wait, in France, 6 million, including 600k with chronic illnesses, don't have a regular GP? What? What do you mean? Never had dental care? Greece? Okay, late 70s. Holy shit, dude, late 70s. The fuck were they doing in late 70s? I'm pretty sure that right now everyone has like proper dental care in Europe. What the fuck? Which country do you not have dental care? Serbia, maybe? I don't know, man. You only have dental emergencies? You don't have proper dental care? The fuck? You don't have like a dentist that you can just go to wherever? What? No? The fuck? Oh dude, you're like 10 years behind Croatia. You have to pay out of your own pocket. We have to pay, it used to be 10 kunas per a dentist visit. If you didn't have like any reason to go, you just kind of wanted to. It used to be 10 kunas. 10 kunas is like euro something. Euro 10, euro 20 cents, something tiny like that. But most of us pay extra health care, which is like you pay 9 euros something per month, and you get dentist visits free, plus you get a lot cheaper medications overall. Like my grandmother, for example, she has some really fancy heart medications she's getting. She would be paying them 4 times the price if she wasn't paying these 9 something euros every single month, right? I pay it regularly, so when I go to the dentist, I go to the dentist for free. I get all my checkups for free. Most months I don't even like use any of the services because I'm generally okay, but then mine 9 euros go towards, you know, someone else. So it kind of all pays off. So yeah, we're okay, public, we're okay. You have to apply for it. Maybe that's, you have to apply for it. You have to be on the list, if you're not employed, right? You have to be on the list of unemployed people. And we have a new law right now. So every 3 months, you have to go to the, it's the building health center in the region. You have to go there to just be like, hey, yo, I'm getting free healthcare because I'm unemployed. And they're going to be like, yeah, okay, sign this paper, and you sign the paper, and that's it, you go. So it's all right here. I didn't know you guys don't have a proper dentist. Holy shit. That's, ooh. Well, I'm trying to do the links in order. Okay, I'm trying to be responsible. Ismail, during the last attack of the Russian Federation on the port of Ismail, one of the drones fell on the territory of Romania. Oh, yo, where's my Romanian bros? Where's my Romanian bros? When are we starting some NATO attacks? Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Let's go. Could this flood be a natural phenomenon completely outside of Chairman Xi's control? No, it must be because he lost the mandate of heaven. Excuse me. This is like when that Italian priest said that earthquakes are happening in Italy because lots of Italians are becoming atheists. Same thing, isn't it? Shit. What the fuck? Worst flooding in its modern recorded history, and a new typhoon is just about to hit it. What the fuck? What the actual fuck? The Ukrainians attack Moscow again. Look, technically, I'm just saying, we don't know. Like, is it Ukraine attacking Moscow? Is it Moscow attacking itself? Maybe it's just the Russians from Belgorod who have been mistreated by Russia all of this time, and now they're trying to fight for their rights, and they're trying to, you know, fight the horrible Moscow regime. You never know, my dude, you never know with these people, okay? Times are tough. Times are tough. Okay, here it is. Trembita, ready to challenge Russian defenses. I saved something related to this. To support the mass production, Viktor Romaniuk envisions strategic crowdfunding. The plan is to produce up to 1,000 limited-range cruise missiles each month at an estimated cost of $350,000 to $600,000. It is believed that the deployment of Trembita carries a psychological impact on Russian soldiers due to the deafening noise it produces, which could potentially contribute to the success of military operations. Oh. Shit, they made a really, really loud drone so it scares the Russians away. Fucking based. Fucking based. Hey, do we make a tiny quiet drone so he can go into Moscow without being noticed? Nah, make it loud as fuck. I want to see them shitting their pants. And they actually do shit their pants. Have you seen the videos of them crying about it? It's based. Finnish army is holding an exercise next to your home. Nice. Command them to go straight over the border. Okay, hey, Finns. You know where you could go do an exercise? Right there. Keep 2 nights ago. Shit. What? Debris from intercepted missile? What the fuck? Kim? Are you attempting to, what's the word? How would I say it? Trick me. Because for a second there I saw pink. I was actually like, what's DB doing here so early? We use a bucket, then we pour it out into the street. Russian senior citizens complain that civilization hasn't reached them yet. Oh shit, you know those like medieval style festivals that are really, really popular in USA, where people dress like elves and do cringe shit, and they try to live like they're living in medieval times? We should just send them out to Russia. Bitch, you wanna see how people live like that? Here's a chance.
Большая деревня? Большая деревня раньше была.
Вот, идем,
Oh.
дом, вот этот выступ, дом. Туда вот дальше дедушка там подстроил этот себе двор.
Time
Тоже дом был.
theft. It is
Не,
always
там
moral to
скотина
steal from your
была,
bosses.
всё, а потом стало воровство, и корову водили со двора, и все, и потом вот родители все умерли.
Газ такой,
Баллонный?
баллонный.
А природный
We
нет?
we just got
Водоводились?
canalization.
Нет.
Ну, вода вот колонки, грязная вода. Мы ходим туда, в родничок у нас.
Ну, вода вот у речки у нас есть.
Автолавки там
USA
останавливаются,
gave us
там на трассе.
canalization. Oh, reenactment? No, we don't do that. It's cringe.
Зимой, конечно, она не ездит сюда.
Не ездит?
А потому что, как, она ж по деревням, а по деревням как таковых дорог-то нету.
А скорую позвоним, на трассу выходим,
Aww.
встречаем. У нас телефон.
This is worse than my village, and my village is kind of shit.
Интернета не это, сети.
Набираем уголь. Цивилизация до нас пока еще не добралась. Тут идешь и смотришь наверх, потому что она уже падала, но хорошо, что ночью не убила никого. Обваливалась полностью все вот это вот.
Туалета-то нет, сходишь туда на ведро, да и все, и все дела.
Мы ходим на ведро и потом выливаем на улицу.
Lots of buckets being emptied right now in Moscow as more missiles are flying towards it. Bro. Bro. Wait, where was I? I'm trying to figure out where I was. Holy shit. Typical Belarus? What is this? Oh yeah, this. Yeah, fear this. Poles, are you scared already? Of the ass smoke, dude. Whenever someone sends the ass smoke dude in chat, I'm gonna have to open him just to scare the Poles into doing something. Poles, press Article 5. Poles, this is going straight towards your border. Poles. Poles, come on. You can do this. Save yourselves. This is gonna be in front of your house right now. You look outside, you try to breathe some oxygen. It's the ass smoke. Man is struck by lightning while masturbating to Bible. Who read the Bible? What do you think it was? Which one do you think it was? The one first on my mind, but I very much doubt it was that one. Or am I just having too much trust in people? But the one popping into my mind is the story of that of those two women who banged their father. You remember that? You remember that Bible story? I remember that Bible story. I don't know if I remember any other ones that were like porn related. Hey yo, DB! Most advanced Russian cities of the Urals? True. Oh, the fuck.
So I thank you. Identity theft is not a joke, Jim. Millions of families suffer every year. Michael! Oh, that's funny. Michael!
Man, I binge watched this show with my boyfriend. I loved every second of it. That was so good. That was so good. Just pour the piss bucket in a big puddle. They don't even have street drains or sewage pipes. Now that you mention, yeah, I've never thought how that was. But I assume, how to say this? If you care enough to make a street drain or sewage pipes, you wouldn't need to use a piss bucket in the first place. So, you know, if they cared enough, they probably wouldn't have this issue at all. So, it's kind of like, oh, you have this problem? Have you thought about solving it?
No, kurwa mać! Dobra.
Fucking based. Fucking based. Trigger finger and still not pushing Article 5. What are you doing, you losers? You little losers. Where is Article 5? Where is NATO getting balls deep? Yeah, I have to show you some news. I have to show you these news first, because this is bad, okay? But a Russian Lancer drone has been using parts from a Czech company called Model Motors. Now, from what I've seen, people have already been notified. So Anastasia basically is already engaged in analyzing Russian information space in Czech Republic, especially like regarding Ukraine. So they are looking into this already, but still important piece of news. There have been parts imported. Now there have been guesses of like when these drones have been made, and you know, when the parts have been imported to Russia, whether this has been, you know, happening after the sanctions have already been introduced. Are we missing something with the sanctions? What is going on? But still relatively big piece of news. Yeah, NATO country has been making parts for Russian drones to kill Ukrainians. So keep that on your mind. It's probably going to be part of a bigger investigation. I'm kind of looking forward to this. And also, this is what I wanted to show you when we look into the drone, Ukrainian drone news. But yeah, so just remember this, and we'll be waiting for some conclusions. I'm hoping that European Union imposes stricter sanctions, but I'm also kind of just hoping we, you know, manage to cut off Russia completely. So all of it is a problem. They should be getting nothing. They should just be getting pain and suffering, and that's it. But also, yeah, the new UAV has been adopted by the Armed Forces of Ukraine. So this is the 10th model of a drone which is officially entering service with the Armed Forces of Ukraine. Look at him! Look at him! In 15 months, Ministry of Defense has already adopted more than 30 models of UAVs of various types. Ammunitions have been officially created as a separate category, and all of this is being tested on the battlefield by Ukrainian soldiers. So, model motor, not exactly meant for military, should not be given to Russia anyways in any sort of capacity. This has been already previously mentioned, so several European Union Parliament representatives have been talking about the fact that the sanctions have largely been very shallowly applied. So, for example, we applied sanctions on Russia's oligarchs, which is a good thing, but we haven't applied sanctions to what sort of equipment can be sent to Russia well enough. So you can't send them military shit, but you can send them shit that is not meant to be used for military, but it still will be used, and we just kind of allowed it anyways. Everything should be sanctioned. Personally, like any sort of export into Russia should be sanctioned. We shouldn't be allowing any of it, but I'll be waiting for the European Union to, you know, do something about this. Talking about European Union, make sure to vote for proper representatives next year when we are having the new European Parliament voting. So make sure you vote for someone who is proper and who is going to be sanctioning Russians nicely. Hard. What is this?
Her father was...
Hey, I've seen people being salty over this woman. I don't know too much about her. I've seen Nafo being salty over this interview. I haven't seen it personally. So I assumed it would be okay. I'm okay that they're having interviews with people in the space. Let me see what they have. Impact of war, traitors in Ukraine, the Russian invasion, changes in attitude, Western support and failures, Polish-Ukrainian relations. NAFO!
Speaking about this propaganda and the online war for narratives, some of the help that Ukraine has received has been done by these idealists that have been volunteering. I'm talking here about the so-called NAFO army, the NAFO fellas, that some of them say that you are somehow in contact
Naval
with,
fellas,
or
he says.
that they support you.
This no can be sent.
I'm proud enough of Felina, absolutely.
How would you describe their roles?
All of it must be
at the start of
banned.
the full-scale invasion.
So what I see, the NAFO people who are in this movement are actually very different people. They have different views on lots of political topics, lots of social topics. They're united basically by one thing, by helping Ukraine win, by supporting democracy and freedom. So in this, I think it's one of the
We're
best
famous, fellas. We're
movements
famous.
that has been created in this war. Absolutely decentralized and absolutely voluntarily. So we like joking how we are all sponsored by CIA and redacted, and how we're training some fighter geese and squirrel and so on. But I mean, the more outrageous and silly things we're saying, the more irritating it is to Russian propagandists who are pushing this.
Bravo, fellas. Bravo, fellas.
Yeah, I think NAFO has been amazing and also very efficient in uncovering lots of these paid Russian propagandists, uncovering what they are, where they live, how they're being funded by Russia, and putting all these things apart and showing how actually stupid and limited these people are. So NATO has been very, very useful and very helpful.
Good choice of words.
Then a final question. How do you think Russian society will cope with this war? Is there a certain breaking point when enough body bags return to Russia that they could break? What do you think about the future for the Ukrainians? Will the spirit to keep fighting back still be there for the coming months or even years if this war would drag on? And finally, what do you think about the future of Western support? Are the societies, whether in the US or in London or anywhere else in Europe, are they prepared to fight a long war in the terms that they are simply helping Ukraine with enough material?
In the early stages of the war, I honestly wouldn't.
Going great. NATO is being talked about, so
the Western politicians and the support would have been even there if Ukrainians haven't shown that they want to live and they want to fight. So once Ukrainians have chosen their path and chosen to fight till the end, till the victory, then it has been actually the people in the West, the populations of England, Germany, America, that decided that this is the fight of the whole humanity, that they have the moral obligation to support, because Ukraine now today is representing the fight of democracy and the fight for freedom, which we all embody. So I would say that I wouldn't be talking about politicians individually, but I would be talking about populations and average people across the world, and they will be, I'm sure they will be with Ukraine till our victory, because this is the fight of all of us. Now, talking about Russia, yes, as you mentioned, I have studied international relations and history, and I have quite some understanding about the Russian mentality. And I know that Second World War has been won in their understanding very gloriously and brightly by Russia, mainly by their propaganda. However, it has been won at the expense of about 70 million people who died in Soviet Union. This has been the slaughter of the planetary scale, and Russians went through this, and they think it has been great that they are boasting of the number of people
I had something about,
slaughtered
now that you
in
mentioned
this
Mila,
time.
I had something on her
Firstly,
saved.
because the war was so horrible. Secondly, because the Russian leadership has killed all the capable generals. So there was no one to actually lead this war that Nazis waged against Soviets. So I think they can
Didn't she
go
do
on with this
something
for
with like,
years, and they can see
was it Warcraft or something?
many more millions people die. So nothing will come out of Russia, and I don't think this war will be stopped in Russia.
Because at the same time, there are those that point to 1917, for example, that the revolution happened due to big war losses. There was also the famous movement of grieving mothers after the Afghanistan war, after the first Chechen war. But so far, these grieving mothers, we have not really seen them.
Yeah, they're somewhere there, and they demand more Ukrainians to be killed. So
Yeah, unfortunately.
they have their own vision. It's interesting when
I
we're
like
talking about some kind of Russian imperialism or some Russian pride.
She has an interesting
These-
way of like
these
saying
whole
stuff.
concepts are so misplaced when we are literally just talking about the enslaved nation that are fighting for their little human being who is just exploiting their nation, and that they kind of like it. It's some kind of a strange, perversive BDSM relationship between this leader and the nation. So thinking that some kind of great revolt can come out of there, it has to be done externally, and I think the West will have to step in, because Russians will not have any limit on their patience and any limit on the number of their people they can see in the body bags. So
Okay,
What
I
about
see that,
Ukraine?
I see that, I see that. Oh, I found Mila clip. Banning people for Azov in game nicknames? Haven't heard of that. I haven't even seen this, to be honest. Just kind of saved it because I was like, Mila!
To help raise money for Ukrainian relief. I was raised in Ukraine. I came to the States in '91. But I think more importantly than being from the country, I think the importance of this war will affect the greater good of the world than just that part of the world. When the war started, I think I myself was kind of waiting for some magical power at be to be like, okay, this is, we're gonna step in and do all these amazing things, and things just magically happen. But then Leah reached out and was like, hey, there's this amazing thing called Blue Check, where it's a little bit of an amalgam of a lot of foundations that we vet and make sure, and they can pivot really quickly so that it's not so static, whereas like it's not just the food or it's not just medical supplies. And I thought to myself, a year in, it's hard to go with specificity at this point, because you don't actually know where the war is, and you don't know where it's going tomorrow. And so the best thing you could do is just to associate and affiliate yourself with the people on the ground. That's how I got involved with it. In general, Blue Check is an umbrella for a lot of other NGOs that have been vetted and have people on the ground. It goes anywhere from medical assistance to humanitarian aid to assisting with orphans, anything and everywhere in between. But right now, the medical infrastructure in Ukraine is in desperate need. Blue Check's primary goal at the moment is to deliver life-saving generators, medical supplies to hospitals, especially the pediatric units. I'd like to say that I want to lead by example. Like, it's not one of those where I say, like, please donate. I make my 6 and 8-year-old, you know, figure out a way to donate whatever they earn through chores. Like, I do think that giving back makes you feel like you're invested in the cause.
Oh yeah, PR definitely.
And by being invested in the cause, you stay involved. I always looked at any gaming community as
Look, as long as cash money is going to Ukraine,
you give your time to other people to be able to
I'm even okay.
level up, or you give your energy or your advice to other people because they wanted some sort of gear. Like it was always a very giving community. I love being a part of the World of Warcraft community. I feel like I'm still a part of it. I think people still associate me with it, which is so wonderful. It's the first gaming community I was ever a part of, with strangers that didn't really care who I was or what I was, and it was so much fun. I love being a part of it. Players of World of Warcraft can...
You know how it is when that drone gets lodged into a Russian ass. It's not like it's gonna be less effective if it was given by some, I don't know, World of Warcraft gamer who just wanted to donate because he gets hard when he sees Mila Kunis or whatever. It won't matter. What will matter is that the drone is getting cash money to be developed and the drone is getting lodged into Russian asses. So right now, any sort of help, I'm very, very happy about. I'm happy to see this. I'm happy to see her giving them support. When it comes to other moral questions, we can kind of go through this. After we don't need a bunch of drones anymore to save so many lives. What is this? Oh shit, again? More genocidal bullshit? What the fuck? Are they not bored at this point? It's all just the same bullshit.
Будет достаточно длительным. И перед нами стоит очень серьезная задача. Мы как-то об этом говорили уже. Что делать дальше?
Bro, it's been the same exact rhetoric for like months.
Даже не в тех границах, в которых она была, как они говорят, в 91 году. Моя точка зрения заключается в том, что Украины как государственного образования быть не должно. Не какая-то не буферная зона, о которой говорят некоторые эксперты. Вот давайте мы оставим ту часть Украины, которая останется в результате специальной военной операции. Они уже продумали, чем она закончится. Создадим определенную буферную зону между Востоком и Западом, между Россией и Европейским Союзом, но это ни к чему хорошему не приведет.
They could just make a buffer zone themselves.
Что Украина, как
just like, 100 kilometers from your borders. Make it into a buffer zone, make it into an extra country, leave it alone, leave the few republics on that part to separate. They can be a buffer zone, you little bitch boy. Just, They're so annoying. They're so annoying. Just gobbling up old shit. I don't know if they had a single, new, fresh claim on that one. It's unironically watching them gets 10 times more interesting when they are getting pissed off over Ukrainian drones hitting Moscow or something, when there's something fresh, because at least they have something fresh to talk about. The rest of the time it feels like they're just there being like, yeah, hey guys, how do you think about Ukraine? Oh yeah, I think Ukraine shouldn't be existing. Oh yeah, me too, I do feel like Ukraine shouldn't be existing. Hey, how do you feel, Vlad the propagandist? Oh, I feel like Ukraine should not exist. Yeah, me too, I do feel like Ukraine should not exist. And they just keep on going in circles. And they're losing anyways. Talking about them losing, I have some videos saved. I have one saved from TV Rain. I know we're not fans of TV Rain, but there's been several fires happening recently at mobilization centers in Russia. Not to fall for bullshit and claim that they're starting a revolution. They're not starting a revolution. They're Russians. They're fucking useless. But these fires could mean that there's a mobilization ongoing right now. And it's not being made public. Because last time they had a mobilization, they also had attack on these mobilization centers. Did they start a revolution? Of course they fucking didn't, because it's Russians. They will never start a revolution. But we did see more attacks on these institutions. So I'm guessing that's why we're seeing them now too. Scott, oh shit. Oh shit, they quoted Trump and Tucker a few times. They're gonna be like, oh yeah, here is our ally from the West, it's Kadefron. He's a Twitch streamer. Dude, we need to start tagging Solovyov on like top 10 clips. On clips of top 10 fucking all Russian mothers or something. Can you imagine how ridiculous that would be? If like Solovyov makes one of those streams and he's like, hey guys, did you know there's a lot of Russophobia? Here's your evidence of Russophobia in Ukraine. There's this man openly talking about fucking my mom, and he just stops and screaming at some Russians. I would love to see that. I need to start. Does he even have a Twitter account, Solovyov? I know Simonyan does. Or she used to. Does she still have a Twitter account? Regardless, I'm gonna start tagging them around. Oh shit. True though. I mean, they did get some help, but we fucking sucked with the amount of attention we were given. We kinda sucked. We could have done a lot better. So yeah. I do think it's not true that it's no one. Ah, volunteers from all over the world. Yeah. But like the countries didn't send enough help at all. They could have done a lot more. I don't know how much it's... On one hand, I see it as being counterproductive. On the other hand, it reminds me of that crowd video on neutrality. Or like how this situation is actually showing to us how fucked up neutrality is. Because, you know, you have to fight alone. You don't really have allies if you're choosing to be a neutral country. Which in a way is what Russia wanted for Ukraine to be all of this time. Because they knew that if Ukraine were to remain neutral, it would not have anyone to help them. And we're kind of seeing that in action. You know, they tried to not even remain neutral, but they didn't really have strong NATO once until the invasion, right? And then NATO has been playing a coward ever since, not allowing them in. But because you don't have any strong allies and you're not really part of any sort of an alliance, you're not really going to get help when you need it, and it sucks. Which is why Russia fucking hates NATO. So, I don't know. It just makes me depressed as shit. Kremlin may be demanding silence over military failures in Ukraine. We need to make like a countdown, like how many zipped files can be reaching Russia before Russians figure out how many of their men are dying there. They may be directing bloggers and other outlets to stay silent over Russian military problems. What? Disputes among pro-war Russian bloggers over coverage of setbacks in Russian-occupied Crimea, including the posting of images reporting to show the results of Ukrainian strikes in Sevastopol and the Chonha Bridge. Wait, but weren't... To be fair, I didn't really specifically go and seek it out for a while, but weren't Russian propagandists pissed off about their failures recently? Wasn't some Girkin's friend pissed the fuck off? Oh yeah, I'm just seeing some artillery losses commented on. Indictment day today. Hey, how do we think it's gonna go? Do we get some hopes? Cause I kinda don't. Oh yeah, here's Girkin's friend. I found him. But yeah, this one is talking about specifically the artillery losses. This one though, this is Girkin's friend. And he's just kind of bitching about everything overall. The way Gherkin used to be. Offensive boils down to who has more reserves and who can grind down more enemy units than their own. Russia lost its potential in the meat assaults of last year and winter. If Ukrainians manage to reach the first line of defense, it's awful on its own, because no measures taken prior to that were able to stop them. However slow the advance is, the depth of penetration doesn't matter if penetration took place at all. Transferring troops to Crimea was a gamble, and if it doesn't play out, it's a major risk for other directions, including Bakhmut. So I thought that was interesting. Also talking about these, someone published these headlines from 1944, and how at the time newspapers were bitching about the slow offensive too. Terrain slows tanks, US officer explains. Allies slowly batter. Delays in Normandy. Overcaution of allies and bad weather seen as factors in upsetting schedule. So I thought that was interesting. The pace slows. Whoa. Gains diminish in the face of counterattacks. I thought it was interesting that they were, how would I say this? It's like doing the rage baiting, but in times of newspapers. You see a fucking headline, you have to buy the newspapers to be able to actually read the article to know what you're supposed to be angry at. I thought that was kind of interesting. Did I click here? Did I click here? Who the hell knows? 3D printed a bombus? Produced more than 30,000 bombs in the past 4 months, while the production increased. Another group makes case for 800-gram anti-personnel bombs and said they make about 1,000 a week. NATO armories? Fair. Fair. Holy shit, fair. Can't counterattack in rainy weather. Two of the largest Russian male bloggers on Telegram are getting into a public fight about being gay. Romanov and Alex Parker. Do I know who either of these are? I don't. I don't. But nice. Fair enough anyways. Hey, no, I wasn't on Instagram. I wasn't on Instagram. Civilian drones for military use. Oh, hey, you could do this for dronate a drone thing, right? Did you guys see the dronate a drone? You could dronate a drone. Oh, here it is. Dronate a drone to Ukraine. Here it is, here it is, here it is, here it is, here it is. And they had a list. Yeah, here's a list of drones specifically. But there was also like a list of just requirements for what the drone must be able to do. That's what it was, like how what you must be able to put on it, basically. I thought it was kind of cute. I never had a drone, so I don't know how rare, expensive the ones they needed are, how much you find them in civilian use drones with specific requirements. But you know, it was still a good call. Switched on a 3D printer in his garage and began to make plastic tail fins. The idea was to attach them to hand grenades, turning them into miniature bombs that can be dropped from drones. Yeah, fucking based. Fucking based. Dude, Russian, wait, is this the one? We didn't see this one? 13 minutes ago. Freshly made soup. Hot soup.
It's this YouTuber.
Bro, I thought he was having no sound. Fuck it.
It's this YouTuber, really big YouTuber, Dr. Beast. He's like huge.
Dr.
He always
Beast.
does this weird, creepy smile. I try to copy it. We could just copy the channel. I think I got it. I think I got it now.
Are your drones donatable?
You good?
No. It is very important that I check what sort of a thumbnail they use for this video. It is very important to go and check. Wait, they didn't. They used this one. Where's the creepy smile? Where's the creepy smile? They have a smile here, but it's not creepy. Not good enough, soup.
Modern advertising started after the invention of the printing press, and these days we are
night vision.
bombarded
Shit.
with ads wherever we go. Today, a lot of this happens online. One of the most powerful forms of online advertising is called social media manipulation. It refers to an activity where social media content is being used to manipulate people
Most
to change
social
their
fin.
views or behavior. It often involves some kind of deceitful techniques.
That I believe is going to change the game.
Throughout the years, we have been shown so many advertisements that we have grown skeptical of them. That's why companies and other actors try to create ads that seem organic grassroots activity rather than something planned by the marketing department.
Tell me you don't think this is suspicious.
Organic attention can be very effective. We often trust people we know more than, say, the marketing people of Nestle. That's why companies and organizations often use a tactic called astroturfing. A practice of hiding the sponsors behind the message and making it seem something that came to be organically. They also often try and speak the language of the youth.
How do you do, fellow kids? What?
By creating cringy memes or TikTok videos. Sometimes the end result is hilarious.
When the drip is respectable, but the chips are impeccable, Chips Ahoy is here for it.
But often just sad.
Hey everybody, I'm done trick-or-treating and now I'm gonna go for a stuffed crust pizza at Pizza Hut. Yay! No! God, please, no!
In the previous video, we talked about troll farms, bullshit factories that are used to manipulate and confuse people on social media. Naturally, they're also used in manipulating the public opinion regarding, for example, politics.
No, we don't have Chips Ahoy.
None of these manufactured opinions will be seen or heard without an audience, which can also be manufactured. As usual, money can buy you almost anything,
What did they talk
and
about?
that's the case also with popularity. The internet is full
Stop
of
it.
servicing, and that's the case.
Zelensky sucks and deserves no more of our tax dollars. Gonzalo Lira's fame has exploded, which wasn't what they wanted or intended. They wanted to disappear him. It's not actually that simple. Try learning the history of the Donbass and what Ukraine was doing to Russian-speaking Ukrainians. Hint, murdering them. Hint, they were murdering them. Oh, bruh. Serbs na hoj. Great.
As usual, money
I
can buy
want
you
to-
almost anything, and that's the case
We're
also
approaching,
with popularity. The internet is full.
We're approaching a very controversial time of the year. Okay, guys, Croatia is soon about to have our yearly Oluja celebration, which celebrates the end of the war. And so Serbs are naturally about to respond in classic Serb fashion of crying. So I'm trying not to make too many jokes about them these days, okay? They're in their sensitive time. It's like Serb PMS. Think of it as collective Serb PMS as a country.
Full of services that sell you followers, likes, shares, comments and whatnot for every social media site imaginable. Social media sites are often
Why would
boasting
you get
how they deleted and
Twitch
suspended
followers?
billions of fake
What's the
accounts
point?
from their platform, But that is
just the tip of the iceberg.
All of these sites have absolutely no control over troll farms and paid accounts.
Nothing. Zero. Nada.
And they are still used to affect people's opinions, among other things, in elections and public policy. When asked about their business, an owner of one of these troll farms claimed that they have over 130 million accounts across every social media.
He's still streaming
site.
on Kick and on YouTube, though.
Yes, it is.
So, how much does it cost?
Kick is basically
10 euros will get
Twitch,
you roughly
but green.
25,000 likes on Instagram, around 5,000 on YouTube.
So I recommend
the same amount buys you 15,000
following him around
followers
there.
on Instagram,
But yeah, he
around
got banned.
1,000 on YouTube and 2,000 on Twitter. And who says money can't buy love?
Not me.
All this seems like too much work. Just buy an account from some of the big marketplaces that sells them.
Please don't do it.
By amplifying a message with fake likes and shares, it can become more enticing to actual people. This effect plays on basic human psychology. When we see something that appears to be popular, we are drawn to it. I mean, how often do you sort content based on their popularity or look for services based on their reviews?
Fair.
And that's perfectly fine, but there's a catch. All that may be completely fabricated. How to buy followers.
There's no point to followers.
On
Don't they
YouTube,
also
cheap.
fuck up your engagement rate?
Not from Russia.
Not from Russia.
Oh, we are recording still. Okay. Now, we know that the Russian
Alexa.
disinformation machinery works
Alexa,
through
give me
Bollywood
followers.
and social media manipulation. But who are their audiences?
Shapeshift from human form.
In the next episode, we'll dive deep into the rabbit hole of conspiracy theories and talk of so-called useful idiots.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
But for now, I say goodbye
We need
to
the
you,
song.
my friends
We need
and
the
soup
song.
lovers. We'll meet again soon.
Because I know for Instagram, for example, for a while it was really, I don't want to say popular, it feels weird to say it, but for a while a lot of people were buying a bunch of followers from Instagram, like locally here. And I remember at the time looking into the engagement rate stuff, and actually it fucks up your engagement rate. I don't know if you knew about that, but it fucks up your engagement rate. So if you have more followers but no one's really liking your shit, the website is like, this account is shit. Because they have a bunch of followers, but their followers don't really like their content, which means they're not really making good content. So despite the fact they manage to get a lot of people to follow them, they're not managing to make these people interested in their content. So why would I recommend them to newer users? Now, I don't know, as far as I know for Twitch, Twitch has no algorithm. The only Twitch algorithm existing is your viewers, who they watch, and who they also watch. So, for example, a bunch of my people also watch Topsin. So, they would all be getting Topsin recommended, or like Topsin viewers would be getting me recommended, because we share a lot of viewers. Twitch has no other algorithm. As far as I know for Twitch, the number of followers is absolutely useless because Twitch has no algorithm. So you can't cheat the algorithm in any sort of a way. The only thing you could do is buy fake viewers. But I don't know how valid those are. I don't know how Twitch counts them, to be honest. I've never really... I assume they all have to be coming from like different IP addresses and everything, because it doesn't count too many of them from the same one. It counts like 3. So there has to be a bunch of users. I assume there's like a whole network or whatever the fuck. I don't know how this shit works. But the only way to cheat Twitch algorithm is to pick a proper category. And then when someone goes and browses the category, you're going to appear on top. If you have enough viewers, right? That is the only way to kind of push yourself to the top. In other ways, you can't do anything, really. What is that? Oh, no. Oh, yeah, this one. Wait, don't it make... I thought something made frogs switch their gender, right? Did it make them gay? Sites where they show the streams somewhere so that random site visitors count as viewers. Oh, that's embedding. You can do that if you have a website. I've never thought about websites existing that you like pay to be on. That sounds interesting. So I wonder what sort of a website that would be. Because for gaming streams, for example, this is rather useful. If there's some sort of a wiki or whatever on the game you're playing, because some of them have an automatic play thing where the top streamer of the game on Twitch is shown. So if you pick a smaller game, you may be the top streamer of this game on Twitch. Automatically your stream will be shown on the wiki page, so all the wiki page visitors, because your stream is embedded, they will also be counted as viewers. So that could work. That could work. Now, I've never really heard of websites that make you pay to get featured. I do assume they exist, I just don't know how shit the website would be. I imagine it would hurt the traffic a lot, right? It would probably be like those Instagram profiles, which are supposed to be sharing your Instagram content, so more people see it, so more people follow you. But then they turn into just accounts where shit content creators get featured. Shit content creators who have a lot of cash money to be featured in the first place, right? So no one really follows them, and it doesn't really improve anyone's engagement rate because no one wants to go and follow these people. What is with this dude, by the way? You know what he... The fact he kind of fell out of the public eye after the whole thing with him going to court. You know what it reminds me of? It's like Tucker Carlson, and how when Fox News got rid of him, people were like, oh, he's gonna become even more popular because he's going to have his own like personal show, whatever, and even more people are gonna watch him. And it's not really working like that. No one gave a shit about his last video, for example. Elon Musk had to do his hardest to promote it, and still it led us nowhere because no one really gave a shit about the dude. So haha, sucks to be USA losers, I guess. What is place boing?
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Do you understand that? Turn the friggin' frogs gay. Serious crap gay. Frogs friggin' frogs. It's not funny. I'm gonna say it real slow for you. Gay. Frogs.
Yeah. Did you know I'm actually on day like 50 of work?
I'm gonna say it real slow for you.
Yeah. One day I'm gonna click on one of these and it's going to be Rick Astley and I'm gonna fucking cry. Hey, by the way, I was watching Indiana Jones these days. Did I tell you people I was watching Indiana Jones these days with my boyfriend? We saw all the movies but the last one. I've never actually seen them in full. They're great. They're actually great. Interesting. Yeah, I haven't seen the old one. The old one is like the only one I haven't seen. Seen everything but the new one. The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is the one we saw last. And then there's the fresh one. We haven't seen the fresh one. I wonder about the fresh one, though. I know it kind of didn't get really good reception. I'm just very, very interested in how it went.
Stuff that'll whack your brain permanently. There it is, the gay ball. Gay ball. And the freaking frog's gay.
When you say meh.
What do you think tap water is? It's a gay bomb, baby. What is going on in North Korea?
How to say this?
What is Hitler? What is Stalin? What is Mao?
If you had to rank all of the Indiana Jones movies, right? Would you place it on the bottom? Or would you place it somewhere between the other ones? Because I don't know how low my standards are, basically.
Get away from me, racist! She's God!
Wait, 1, 3, 2, 4, 5? Damn, really? Wait, which one is it? Which one am I thinking of? Wait, which one is it with the weird... Is it the first one? When they have this, like, a scene before they're doing the sex? Before they're supposed to do the sex, but they don't do it. But, like, the scene is so cringe. Because that gave me one of the strongest fucking emotions in the entire viewing so far. 5 is always the last. Holy shit, dude. You're making me not expect too much. Why is 4 so late? So far in the back. What's wrong with 4? I thought they were all okay-ish, actually. I don't know how you would... Nah, that's a lie. I think I was a fan of 3, but I think it's because I've seen it previously. I've seen the clips of it, so it just kind of felt cozy watching it. Not as good as the original ones. Doesn't have the sense of adventure. Fuck. Hey, now you got me. Now you got me expecting the West. To be fair, Indiana is old as fuck right now, okay? He can't do adventures. He's in pension, okay? Leave my man alone. You're like, oh, Indiana Jones right now at the age of 120. Same age as Biden, probably. He can't do adventurous little stuff. Of course he can't. He's gonna crumble. He's gonna fall apart. Leave my man alone. Ish, 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 ish. I was interested. I'm still interested in the freshest one. I know the kid acts. One of the actors is the kid who is in the first movie, right? One of the actors is the kid. I'm interested in the kid. He isn't the main character. Who's the main character? Is it the kiddo? Did the kid steal the show? Because that sounds... actually sounds like, you know, a good attempt to try and start a spin-off. Like, oh yeah, Indiana is old as fuck right now. Let's switch to new Indiana character. AI. Once AI starts making proper movies, we're fucked. But I've seen some, I don't know if you've seen those Twitter clips of like movies made with AI. They look like shit. In like first 3 seconds you can tell it's an AI made video, and also everything's bad. So, you know, once it improves properly, it's going to actually be quite scary, but for now I've got very low hopes in AI, not gonna lie. Tiny little hopes. Hey, also I needed to show you stuff. Black archaeologist moment, like they did in 07. Oh, like switching the character. I feel like you can just like make... Because for Indiana, it's him, right? For James Bond, you can switch the character because it's 007 is not one character, right? I think that's a lore point, that the title keeps on being given to new agents, which is why so many different actors have been acting as James Bond, and they all are James Bond, because it's a title given to a spy. It's not actually a title given to like one specific person. So I think in that one you can actually kind of, there's even maybe like a point where I would see it see it having comedic value to introduce a character who's like a different gender fully, right? I can see that. I can see that, but like for Indiana, you can't really do that because he's been Indiana all this time. So you would need to start a spin-off. You could do you could start a spin-off around a new character. You could just end the show. He was named after a dog. He can get a black daughter and call her Indiana as well. Oh. Okay, now that you mention it. Okay, you know what I want to see though? Indiana Jones, but Indiana actually being a dog. And he's just a dog going on adventures? Bro. They could also keep on switching them forever, because like, how many people do you know who could tell a difference between like two similar looking Labradors? Zero. Zero people you know who would be able to tell a difference. We could be having new Indiana Jones movies forever if Indiana is actually made into a dog. Bond. I don't know, I would be okay with Bond being a female. I would be okay with that because as a lore point, I feel like it would fit. So that would be GG with that. But yeah, I have to show you my news, but also I have to run for a second. I drank a lot of juice, so let me see what I'm gonna play for you for a little break. Let me see. I have to talk to you about what's the word? There's a word I wanna use and I can't remember it. Oh, I could play you a hot TV Rain. Great. So I have to see a part of TV Rain reporting on this. Dylan showed a banger song. Nice. Hey, I wasn't able to catch Dylan live in a while because ever since I started work, I have to go to sleep as a normal person. Know how much it sucks? I'm following the dude's work on like YouTube and on Twitter. I don't know, I can always feel like I'm missing out. It sucks he's streaming in non-euro friendly time. Especially, listen, okay? People in Europe who work a job, we can't watch at midnight. My man is literally going against the part of the viewers that are most likely to be able to actually sub to him. He is trying to go against the riches. And you know, I don't know how to deal with that. What is this one? Great, I'm gonna play you this one and I'm running.
Згуртуємося, браття, ми гордість і надія України, ми сини. Сьогодні ми на варті і єдності, і братства. На варті стоїмо завжди, щоб не було війни. Традиції століть і заповідь нащадкам. Свободу і майбутнє країни боронить. Життя нам не зламати, ми бойовим порядком. Дітей і рідну неньку потрібно захистить. Армія з народом України. Армія з народом присягають всі війська. Армія з народом моєї батьківщини. Армія – це доля і сім'я захисника. У кожного народу є право на свободу. У кожного народу є своя земля свята. А нашому народу немає переводу. Бо за козацьку волю пліч-опліч ти і я. Ми розгорнемо прапор і ставимо до строю. За честь і за державу обов'язок служить. Нам не потрібно слави, хай мир панує з нами. Хай Бог оберігає, всіх нас благословить. Армія з народом України. Армія з народом присягають всі війська. Армія з народом моєї батьківщини. Армія – це доблесть і честь захисника. Армія з народом України. Армія з народом.
Came back on time. What is this? Eastern flank-ish. Above average, excuse me. Where's my camera? Here it is, okay. Excuse me. What did I want to click on? Nothing. Okay. You hoped I was leaving? Damn. How dare you? How dare you do this to me? I saved this, but like right now I don't even know if I want to show you this, because I remembered I have another video that I've saved for you, and it's this one. And it's on why Poland is becoming Europe's next superpower. I actually had it saved in my recommended for a while, and I just kept on like being, gonna watch it one day when I'm making fun of the Poles. And I think today is a perfect day to make fun of the Poles. Okay, press Article 5, you losers.
But this stereotype is no longer true, and Poland of today looks more like this. In the past 30 years,
Look at
Poland
them.
went through an incredible transformation, growing more than any other economy in Europe, and faster than Asian tigers like Singapore, South Korea, or Taiwan. Today, Poland is emerging as a major technological hub. The Polish economy might overtake the UK
These
by
nuts.
2030, and after years of suffering from a massive brain drain, highly skilled Poles are now coming back home. And it goes way beyond the economy, as Poland is building one of the most powerful militaries in Europe, and quickly becoming one of the most influential
Putin is
European
watching this video to
As
cry
all of
himself to
these
sleep.
changes continue to pick up pace, it's getting impossible to ignore Poland's growing importance. But there is still one thing that could destroy the entire Polish miracle. A threat not from the outside, but from within. So how did Poland manage to become Europe's biggest success story? Why is it doing so much better than everyone else? And what is the challenge threatening to end everything that it has achieved?
Didn't I have this one saved
is
for the last
rise of
stream? Or was there another one with like Polish supremacy? I'm pretty sure it was this one. Is it? Look, really?
But first, a word
What
from
is
the
the...
sponsor of this
I
video.
lost someone's video then.
Right now on Blinkist, I'm
I
reading
lost someone's
On
video
Book
then.
by Karl von Clausewitz, probably the most influential book on military
Because I just
strategy
went
in
like
modern history. It's a
open
book that I wanted to
a
read
new
for a
tab to
long
save
time,
them.
but I never really managed to get to it because, well, it's 700 pages long.
Fucking
and
now I need to go
not
through Discord.
exactly an easy read.
Nah, actually I'm not
And
going through
that's
Discord,
why
I'm lying.
Blinkist is so useful. Blinkist is a service that helps you find the most
What is this?
valuable books and podcasts and understand their key ideas in bite-sized pieces of content so that it doesn't take more than 15 minutes. They have over 6,500 titles available to read or listen to as audiobooks. And now they have a new feature called Blinkist Spaces that allows you to create your own space where you can add, share, and recommend titles.
Wait, I'm pretty sure an app like this exists. But it's shit. Yeah, never tried this one. An application like this exists because I tried to get it. It was marketing itself on a similar like explanation of like we will you pick a book and then it tells you the premise of the book in like a short amount of time, so you didn't actually have to go and read the whole book. But all the books they had in offer were books like by Jordan Peterson and stuff like that. They didn't have anything else. That's the entirety of the thing. So I actually kind of wonder about this one. I'm hoping this one is better and not just motivational stuff.
From the Blinkist library, all in one place, including with people who don't have Blinkist subscription. Right now, you can get 25% off Blinkist annual premium.
Your
and
friend
start
partially
your
wrote the
7-day
script?
free trial by clicking here. So thanks
How do
Blinkist
people
for
start work
sponsoring
as like
the link
script
below to
writers for
subscribe.
YouTube?
And now back to the video. But to understand why Poland's transformation is such
Because
a
I've
big
seen...
deal, we need to understand.
Wait, stop. I've seen, when I was on Fiverr for translation stuff, I was seeing a lot of people asking for people to be writing scripts for their YouTube videos. The fuck is even a script? The fuck is a video script? What is that? Like you try to put all of the information and shit in the best possible way. You have to write it down. Why do you employ someone to do that for you? Why don't you just do that for yourself as a video maker? How?
Where it started from. In the 20th century, after becoming the first country to be invaded by Nazi Germany and losing 20% of
I'm
its
gonna manipulate
population
someone
in
locally
World
to
War II, Poland became
start
part
doing
of the
that shit.
Eastern Bloc as one of the Soviet-controlled satellite states. Like in the rest of the Eastern Bloc, the 40 years of communism were times of deep economic isolation, stagnation, and overall hopelessness.
You've probably seen so many
Poland
good
had to
videos like you
import
could.
the Soviet system of centrally planned economy, where state owned almost everything. Private businesses were mostly non-existent, and since they were basically a Soviet colony, the Polish economy was subservient to interests of the Soviet Union, and forced to make, buy, and sell whatever Moscow wanted it to, whether it made economic sense or not. As a result, the centrally planned economy
How
was
hard is it to
deeply
use Python?
dysfunctional and mismanaged, crippled by constant shortages of basic goods and lack of resources. When the communist regimes of Eastern Europe finally fell in 1989 and Poland became free and independent, it emerged
Do I need
from
Python
behind
to write
the
scripts?
Iron Curtain as one of the poorest countries in Europe, with highly dysfunctional infrastructure and public services, and with basically no experience with capitalism and participating in a global economy. The average salary was 10 times lower than in Germany, and the country was struggling with
10 times
hyperinflation.
lower.
In other words, it wasn't a country you would bet on to become a major success. But skip 30 years ahead into the future, and that's exactly what happened. So, how did Poland do it? From 1992, Poland managed to grow consecutively for almost 3 decades, achieving the longest period of growth in modern European history. Now, not
You
many
too can
countries
do
are
this.
able to do that, and the reason is that
If you
usually when they find a successful
leave Russia
strategy, they
behind.
tend to stick to it long after it stops working. But Poland, so far, managed to find a different growth strategy for each
Just
of the
stop
3
trying to be good with
decades,
them.
which allowed it to grow
Immediate
so fast for so long.
rise in
Starting
economy.
in the early 1990s, its main challenge, like in every other post-communist country, was how to transition from a centralized, state-owned economy to a capitalist one. In most countries,
He said the same thing I just said, okay? One quick tip on how to become a superpower and leave communism behind. And it worked.
These transitional reforms were
Suck
in
it,
one way
tankies,
or
heck yeah.
another quite problematic. Either they took too long or they became pretty corrupt, and much of the state wealth was transferred into hands of a few wealthy oligarchs who got rich because of their political connections. Poland, on the other hand, managed this transition arguably better than others. It transitioned to capitalism quickly, but privatized most of the state-owned companies slowly, and a few years later than most of its neighbors, after the chaos calmed down, and after it became a little bit harder to steal everything. Thanks to that, it became pretty much the only post-communist country without an economy dominated by oligarchs, and without an economic crash in the 1990s. But despite the good start in the early 2000s, this wasn't enough anymore in order to grow, and so the next phase was about globalization. In 2004, Poland joined the European Union and the open European market with a free movement of goods and services. Without
European
any
Union
barriers between
supremacy.
Poland and the rest of Europe, it made sense for Western European companies to move their manufacturing over to Poland, where they had a large and a very cheap pool of workers at their disposal. And while these companies kept most of the profit, Poland got enough out of it to keep growing at a pretty fast pace. And joining the EU brought another major benefit, since one of its key principles is redistribution of money from wealthier member states to the less developed ones, in order to balance the wealth disparity across the Union. After joining, the Eastern European states started to receive a lot of money, and Poland managed to use them to build and improve everything from roads to universities, and again, in a lot more efficient way than in many other Eastern European countries. But that can still only take you as far, and many countries following a similar trajectory eventually fall into the so-called middle-income trap. If your economy is based on providing cheap labor for foreign companies, you can only grow to a certain level. And if you can't offer anything else apart from that, and you don't have any major companies of your own, you're stuck. But so far, Poland seems to be avoiding that. 15 years ago, foreign companies were coming in to hire low-skilled and low-paid workers for menial labor. But today, they're coming because Poland has one of the largest pools of engineering talent in Europe. And instead of warehouses and basic factories, companies like Google are opening research and development hubs. Now, that said, Poland is still relatively poor, at least compared with most of Western Europe. but the growth so far has been
Croatia!
impressive and unusually inclusive. Average wages in the country massively increased, while inequality remained low. And so it's not a growth that would only exist on paper, or
That's
only help
fucking
select
cruel.
few, but it actually trickled down to the rest of the society. And there's one more area outside of economic growth where Poland has been getting a lot of attention lately, and that's its unprecedented military buildup. Historically, Poland has some good reasons to be a little paranoid. Stuck between Germany and Russia, it has been invaded, partitioned, colonized, and stripped of its independence time and time again. And even though today it's in NATO, this historical memory is still there. And while most European countries were taking their peace dividends, Poland has kept military funding at one of the highest levels in NATO. And after the Russian invasion of Ukraine,
United States?
it went into an overdrive. It announced that in just a few years, it will increase. It went into an highest level.
Greece? United States and then Poland?
In NATO. And after the Russian invasion of Ukraine, it went into an overdrive. It announced that in just a few years, it will increase its military spending to 5% of its GDP, higher than any other NATO member, double the size of its armed forces to 300,000, and buy thousands of tanks, fighter jets, and other military equipment. And before the end of the decade, Poland plans to have the most powerful ground forces in Europe, in what would be one of the most ambitious military buildups in modern European history. Now, that being said, what Poland has achieved so far is impressive, and what it plans to achieve even more so. But it's yet to be seen if all that will actually happen. Despite its successes, there are some significant risks that could kill the entire Polish miracle, and not everyone is so bullish on Poland's future. For a long time, demography has been considered the #1 threat.
I, for one,
people have
would
left
welcome
the
our
country in the
Polish
last 30
overlords.
years. But now it looks
I
like
would be okay
Poland
with it.
managed to reverse this trend. In recent years, it has seen a reverse brain drain, as Poles and people with Polish heritage living
Actually
abroad
depends.
have started coming back to the country.
If they
And
press
since the country took in
the
over
button,
1.5
I would be
million
okay with it.
Ukrainian refugees, the demographic trends are looking much better. And so there are really two major risks. First, while the growth has been impressive, Poland has not actually avoided the middle-income trap completely. So far, it's still massively reliant on foreign investments, and although tech centers are being opened in Warsaw, they are set up by foreign companies, rather than by Polish ones. And while that brings jobs and growth, once again, there is a limit
Hey,
to how high
Pycat,
you can
thank
grow,
you for the
since
sub. Thank
most
you,
of the
thank you.
profits will always
Cygnus,
end up
thank
leaving
you
the
for
country
gifting
in the
a sub.
end.
Thank
In
you.
order to break into the big leagues, you need your
Yay,
own
congratulations,
domestic clients
congratulations.
in sectors with high added value. And Poland doesn't have that, or at least not yet. But the far bigger risk is of a completely different nature, and it concerns a part of the Polish story that we haven't touched on yet. The thing is that Poland is a deeply, deeply divided country, so much that we can almost talk about two different Polands. One liberal and progressive, and the other deeply conservative and religious. Like in the US, the two Polands are finding it increasingly difficult to coexist together, and surveys show that both sides are highly suspicious of each other, intolerant to opposing views, and increasingly refusing to compromise. And for years, the current
Poles, come on.
conservative government has been criticized by the liberal opposition for supposedly bending the rules in order to stay in power, and it has had a growing beef with the European Union that's threatening to cut Poland off from EU funds as a punishment for not upholding the rule of law. And the thing is that whatever side you cheer for, the end result is bad for both, and for Poland in general. The country needs both parts of the population to coexist and work together, and it needs the EU if it wants to be truly successful. And if it doesn't manage to do that, the Polish miracle will be over soon, before it has really started.
Hey yo, Poles, start doing smart shit. Hope they will keep the momentum doing. I welcome our new Polish overlord. Same. No, no, European Union is not your enemy. No, you need European Union funds. Funds are nice. Cash money feels good to get, okay? Okay. You're fucking evil. Go on, you enemy. Hey, by the way, I need to show you stuff. Talking about how good European Union is. Okay, talking about how superior European Union is to everything. Look at all the new shit we're doing. Look at all the new shit we're doing. Okay, did you know about our projects? You probably didn't know about our project because you're losers and you hate European Union. Okay, but European Union has given, for example, 5 million euros to support digital education in Ukraine. 159 new Erasmus Plus projects have been announced worldwide. How fucking cool is that? We're doing some restorations in Moldova. I don't know what we're doing. New round of sanctions to Belarus, though. Not proper sanctions still, because we keep on doing pussy sanctions to Belarus. But it's something, I guess. We're supporting new public transport systems in Armenia. Come on, we're being great. We're being great. New website, new sanctions over information manipulation in Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine. Come on. We're so good. European Union is great, okay? So be supportive of us, okay? Be supportive of us. Talking about this, by the way, there was a new video published when I started the stream on European Parliament. Hey, by the way, I put Martyrdom of Russia in the title because I wanted to talk about something related. But is rebuilding Ukraine even possible? What the fuck do you mean? Into Europe? What is that? But I wanted to show you a video on EU Parliament, which was published just when we started. Here it is, benefits of European Union. Okay, I'm turning you into European Union lovers. So you do smart votes for European Union Parliament, so we don't get the Vatniks in there again, because if I have to look at another Mick Wallace for 4 years, getting 8,000 euros per month, to be very, very stupid, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry myself to sleep for a endeavor, okay? So do smart voting, do very, very smart voting. The election process is gonna be in like a year. I don't know when we're gonna know the candidates. I learned yesterday that European Union Parliament has existed since 1979. That's when we had our first voting. Did you know that? Because I didn't. Okay, so you know, give us some proper votes. Yeah, any of us could be that. That is true. I'm going to vote for you. What you gonna do now? I'm going to write your name on the list. And then you will have to do a job. 38 F-16 aircraft to Argentina. Didn't Germans just today also say that it is not their priority to send long-range missiles to Ukraine? What sort of shit did they betray us on? I can't remember it. The list, yeah, you're being added to the list. How do you feel about it? Your name will be on the list. Your identity is gonna be on the list. Fear me.
What's the EU doing for me? Well, a lot.
Aww.
First, it opens up opportunities. You're free to live, work, and travel across 27 countries in the world.
Croatia being the best one of them.
The EU fights for fairness, acting to tackle the energy crisis and ensure adequate minimum wages. It protects us as citizens and consumers, making sure our food is safe, our air is clean, and our online environment secure.
This is why we can't have threads by Instagram.
Promoting gender equality and work-life balance, improving conditions for parents, carers, and women in the workplace. Listen, the EU is a global power, supporting democracy, protecting the environment, securing trade deals, promoting peace, progress, and security. It's all that and much more.
Kinda ironic, by the way, watching this, and then you have this, would I say revelation? You have this revelation. Is this a new video? That like Hungary is in the European Union, and you're like, Maybe kick them out. Maybe kick them out and then make flexing videos like these. Because right now, I don't know, they're like promoting peace and then Orban goes, oh, well, actually Ukraine has no sovereignty anymore, so Russia might as well just like take off a chunk. I like all of these things. See, go vote for European Parliament so we don't get another Claire Daly into the Parliament to waste our time. It doesn't promote any messages of loyalty to the countries they live in. Come to our country and I guess shit on us if you want. Meanwhile, Russia is like, you don't get anything, but think of the dream of the glorious Russian world. Yeah, it is an interesting thing over that. Yeah. It's like, I don't know how we could do it though, especially, how would I say this? Yeah. With certain countries, promoting pride in them might turn a bit interesting. Like even with Russia, you know, it's like, oh, glorious Russian world, and then you're like, oh, the invasion of Ukraine, and then the invasion of Georgia, and then killing Chechens. Do we go further? We go through Soviets, we go through the Empire, we go through the Circassian genocide, we go through Holodomor. Like, how far do we go? Where is the glorious Russian world? So I feel like for Western states, there would be a similar issue, right? Like, oh, come to see glorious Germany. Glorious Croatia. You know, I feel it would open up a lot of interesting issues. So, oh yeah, it's a legal thing. It's a legal thing. European Union doesn't allow threads to be working because of some security concerns. Which I'm okay with that. I'm GG with that. I think we should be bullying big corporations into making their applications proper. And I think if it comes to at cost of not being able to use these social apps, I think that's okay. It's like, you remember when, I think it was Facebook, when it got fined by European Union for something, some sort of like privacy bullshit or whatever the fuck it was. And I remember there was one comment made by someone from Zuck's team who was like, oh, it's going to cost Facebook a lot to like change specific things in the app to make it European Union friendly. So it seems like, you know, if European Union keeps their demands so high, Europeans just won't be able to use Facebook at all. And at the time, European Union Parliament, or was it Council, representative was like, yeah, okay, we just want to use Facebook. That's all right. If you want to make your app normal, we're just not gonna allow it to be used in Europe, and Europeans are gonna be using something else. And I think that's the approach we should be taking to these sorts of applications, right? I think that's okay. Right? Oh, like, oh, you don't want to follow our rules? That's okay. People can live without Facebook and without Twitter and without all of these shits. There's always millions of other apps we could be using instead. So, one of the greatest things about Croatia is that it's not Serbia-based. Come to a country where you are free to shout at us if you find our leadership not to your liking. Okay, yeah, that too. Vlad, you hated the way Vlad talks? Yeah, I've recently actually, someone pointed it out in the last stream, that he sometimes gets a bit too pseudo-philosophical and that his viewers start acting similarly. And I actually noticed it on his Twitter. He has an interesting bunch on Twitter, and sometimes we have this term in Croatian. Where's my Slavs? Slavs. You probably have the same term in your language. Here we say preseravanje. Means overshitting. And it's like when you try to be too much. When you're just trying too hard. You're just attempting too hard. And it's cringe in a way. And then you're doing preseravanje. And it feels like a lot of his viewers are kind of turning into that. They watch him for such a long time that they try to use the same types of phrases he uses. But it feels like they don't know how to properly use them. And then, like, when he says some things, like, I don't know, my feeling from this, for example, was awakened when he said that Navalny, in his post where he is making excuses for Girkin. So in a post where Navalny said that, you know, Girkin should be... the Haag did already look into Girkin and did accuse him of being a part of shooting down MH17. But Navalny was like, oh yeah, well, Russia should do its own investigation into this. Like, that's a weird way to comment on this. And then also he called Girkin a political prisoner, and I don't know how I feel about that. But I remember Vlad commented on this as if it's like Navalny trying to, how was it, politicize Russian society or something? I think that was presaravanje. I don't know how he reached that conclusion of like Navalny is doing this to try and get Russians to be more involved in politics. I don't know how he got that. I have, like, no matter from which direction I look into it, it makes no sense to me that that's what he's tried to do. I don't know. I've got no fucking idea what he was trying to push. So, you know, for me, it's like, sometimes I feel like he looks at things maybe a bit too interestingly. But apart from that, he has really, really good views, I think, on most stuff. He's not really a Russophobe, though, so... Trans-Siberian Railway is a big achievement, and the Moscow Metro has some sick decorations, but a lot of people died making those. Yeah, it's like, you know what it reminds me of, actually? I kind of wanted to talk about this today, and then we went into other talks. But the martyrdom of Russia thing, there was an interesting conversation happening on Twitter today, because one of the good Russians made a book. One of good Russians made a book. And the book in English, now the problem is that in English, the book has a different name than it does in Russian. So it's gonna be interesting to see when the book is actually read by more people and we can do a proper analysis of it and we can see the parts of it. It would be interesting to see what it actually says. But the book in English is called I Love Russia. And then it's something... I kind of hope that I'm gonna see it immediately, to be honest, when I go into this part of Twitter. But the fact it's not posted immediately weirds me out. But basically she mentions the lost state in the title in English. Again, in English. So I'm... You know, the whole idea of it being a lost state, I kind of see it as similarly to the idea of it being... of talking about the great Russian world that is now lost. It's like, it was never great. It was always fascist. It was never great. You could go all the way back to the Russian Empire. It was never great. The idea that, like, oh, Russian state used to be great and now we lost it to authoritarianism, which is the idea presented, again, in English. I've heard that the Russian version is better, but we still haven't gotten the way the cover looks in Russian. So I can't comment on this 100%. But apparently in Russian it's not really saying I love Russia, it's saying something like my beloved country, something like that. I don't know if it's commenting on the lost state. In English it comments as if Russia is currently battling its own part of a global turn to authoritarianism, which I am also against, because Russia has been authoritarian and fascist for a while. This is not like some sort of turn. It has been going this direction for a very long time. Also in English, it mentions that Russia has turned to fascism. Russia came to fascism and we didn't see it until we reached it. Which I also disagree with, because you could have seen it since the age of, again, Russian Empire. I don't believe they ever had a time in their history in which they were doing something better. So I don't know where you would get the idea that, like, oh, we thought we were doing good and we actually weren't. Like, did you think you were doing good when you were killing Chechens? Like, at which point in Russian history where you're like, yeah, we're maybe being a proper democratic country? You never were. So I'm not really too happy about the book existing. The book also is published, by the way. Fuck, I need to find whoever posted it. But the book is published by the same publishing company that published the book of Wagner, War Criminal. Do you remember that situation? So dude runs away from Wagner, writes a book, the book gets published, and in the book he admits he did war crimes. But because he was already let out of Russia and given asylum by one part by Gulagu organization, he's just, how would I say it? He's just safe. He's just a war criminal and he's among us and he's chilling here among us. Because why wouldn't he be chilling here among us? You know. Oh, here it is. Here it is. I love Russia. This is the one. This is the one. Penguin Press is who has been publishing it. Yeah. I find it very hard to remember names of these. But Penguin Press is the name of the publishing company. So yeah, I love Russia. Reporting from a lost country. See, reporting from a lost country. I find it a sus way to word it. But also I'm kind of waiting to see what the book actually is, because apparently the woman who wrote the book has been reporting from occupied areas of Ukraine. And apparently she has been reporting the viewpoint of the victims. So I think there's a possibility. I just don't really know how proper this is gonna be. Like, you know the whole thing with, like, to destroy Russian imperialism, Russia must be defeated right now. Russia must be defeated on the battlefield so hard that their people can't delude themselves into thinking they can still rebuild an empire. They must be destroyed at the battlefield so hard that they just have to accept the fact that they have lost and they can't continue being pieces of shit. In the very much same way, it feels like the only way to battle this sort of a mindset of Russian supremacy is to acknowledge the fact that your country has been an imperialist, fascist shithole for all of its existence, and I feel it's going to be very, very hard to get them used to this fact. Europe supremacy means we are best. It just means we're the best. I'm trying to, like, manipulate people into voting for European Union Parliament, which is voting happening next year, and I really want people to be voting effectively, so we don't get another Mick Wallace, or Claire Daly, or Ivan Vilibor Sinčić. So, They never accept the responsibility or fault. Yeah, like that. That's what the book feels like, you know, it's like they're not going to accept responsibility for everything Russia has been doing. They already started avoiding responsibility when they made a review of the book, which is like, oh, a Russian journalist is fighting the global turn to authoritarianism. You're already, like, taking responsibility away from Russia and pretending this is a global problem and it's Russia's problem. Already you're doing making excuses for them. So, I don't know. I don't want to be too salty about it, but it has been a strong topic of conversation recently. And, I did think it's going to be very, very interesting. They do not have the population pyramid to acquire their former empire back with just conventional non-nuclear war. Oh. Huh. That also makes sense, I guess. Gotta have more young people, so more of them can be sacrificed on the battlefield. Would make sense, actually. He's so quiet. He's incredibly quiet. Oh.
Maybe we say a bit about the United States and Trump, and then a bit about Ukraine's perspective. Now, one feature of
do we think Trump could win, by the way?
Voters is a feature of contemporary Western democracies, and that is that many citizens in them feel that their sense of political agency clashes with what they don't.
Okay, unironically, the superiority of Austria comes from the fact that whenever people talk about the big bad no-no man, everyone was like, oh yeah, he was German. Like, how many people are actually talking about the fact Hitler was Austrian? Almost no one. People like, oh yeah, German, oh yeah, Germany, bad country. And you know, he did the rise in Germany and everything, but like still, Austria has kind of been completely ignored by everyone. Plus, Austria is not doing anything to help Ukraine right now, and no one's blaming it. We've been shitting on Germany for giving us slow deliveries for a while. No one's shitting on Austria for just being fucking useless. The same thing, by the way, was happening with the conversation on treating the immigrants in our countries. I remember when Germany had the idea that it's going to be banning hijab in certain public places. Like, the entire Europe was like, oh, Germany, what? Germany, what are you doing? But like, Austria did it previously. And no one cared. So I don't know. It feels like Austria actually, in a way, is superior because it's so... I don't know if I want to say irrelevant. It's like Germany, but lame, so no one really cares about it. Sideburn guy. No one ever talks about the start of World War I, okay? Balkans has nothing to do with it. Leave us alone.
Think is factual truth, but I do. There's a conflict between the recognition of certain true facts and one's political identity. And that's not the fault of the individual. You can always talk to the individual.
Forget Austria. Yeah, it's so fucking useless.
And supporting what they support. But at the political level, you have to recognize that there is a historical crisis of trust, and it's powered by certain social forces that are real. So this is not just people going around making epistemic mistakes because they're deliberative disasters, right? These are social forces out there at work, and at a political level, you've got to recognize that it's not that we've got a bunch of idiots here and there who are sort of, politically moronic. Not at all, right? That's an ethically disgraceful way
is a limiter?
Voters. What we've actually got is a society in which all too readily one's sense of political agency clashes with the
How loud is he?
Facts. Now,
by Vlad, too many words. I can't think about him and like also think about common Serbia. Starting World War I was Serbia did two good things in existing. One of them was starting the World War I. The other one was overthrowing Milosevic. So you know, Vlad doesn't seem to compress his audio much, if at all. It's always so quiet. It's just he's just a quiet little man. Okay, this is all his fault. He's a quiet little man, dude. A Pole in his soul.
Enormous capacity to survive various kinds of processes and still win, get the nomination, and then win. There is then something else, and that is the capacity.
Serbs say they did. Okay, Serbs are saying they did, and I'm trying to give them credit for doing something. Okay, so you know, you can go speak to Vucic. Matter of mixing, what does that mean? Because I have... Yeah, I've got no idea. Fight me on voice chat. Fucking loser, my dude. Fucking loser, okay? Okay, listen, you're unwilling to accept the truth of Serbia putting the entire world into motion. You dare to defy the truth on this? How dare... Where is the arrogance coming from? Okay, if you didn't have your Serb overlords starting World War I so they could become proper rulers of Europe, we would probably all be speaking Hungarian or whatever the fuck. So, thank you, Serbs. You are my best friend. Actually, I don't even know. I've never really, unironically, I've never looked too much into World War I. I have never looked into it too deeply. And I think it's because I remember reading accounts from soldiers, and a lot of them were like, oh, this war is fucking useless. And then learning about the Christmas trees and everything, right? And you're like, oh, these people just... It wasn't a... What's the word? like a morally, how do I say, justified war. It wasn't like World War II, you know, when Nazis were evil and, you know, you want to go and fight Nazis because they're pieces of shit, so you have a drive to go and kill them. World War I felt more just political and useless. So I've never really looked into it too much. Not gonna lie on this. I know we got the kingdom later. I know after the kingdom we got Yugoslavia. So that's, I know like our specific little part of it. I don't know too much about the war itself. Serbian assassin fucked up his first attempt and it was dumb luck that he got a second. Yeah, wasn't it something like fuck. Look at me now being very, very smart. Depends on how correct I am on this. Nice. Not the nice one, just like the one which wasn't. It feels a lot less like there's like a good side and a bad side in it. Background. Where's my dude Serbs? Where's my Serb bros? See, Balkans. Yeah, look, the main thing I know about this is Serbs memeing that they started it. Because there's a meme. Well, also it's kind of like interesting that you say that because they see it as a loss. There's a meme in Serbia that they started World War I and they lost it. And they started Yugoslavia war and they lost it. So there's an expression in Slavic, treća sreća, third luck. So like they're going to start another one, but like this time they're going to win because it's going to be the third war that they started. And that's, look for like Serb opinions on that, that's kind of the strongest one that I have in my head currently. Just that one, like, don't make us start another one because, you know, by the powers of cosmos itself, we have to win it, okay? It's the third war. We have to win it. In Russian heads, Ukraine was the Austria to their Germany. They're lesser-known juniors that could be bullied without rousing world attention. But junior fucking knew kung fu ruined their whole plan. Okay, yeah, that too. 1/4 of Serbia dies in World War I. See? So on the third one, they have to gain at least that many of people back. But yeah, I genuinely don't know. By the way, Hungarian is a horrible, complicated language. Hungarian has no noun tenses, genders. Neither. Hungarian has no noun genders. Hungarian is relatively easy to learn. It's just that if you speak it, you know, you'll have to listen to some Hungarians to be able to actually speak it well. And why would you do that to yourself? It's like French, but like French is actually hard to learn. But why would you learn French? Do you want to speak to French people? I'm not really sure you do, so yeah. Second Balkan War was started because Bulgaria was a bitch. So what happened, we had the first Balkan War where we managed to beat Turkey. And it was beaten by Bulgaria, Serbia, Montenegro and Greece. And then the second Balkan War was Bulgaria against the other three because Bulgaria thought it didn't get enough loot from the first Balkan War, so yeah. We should tell Serbia to fully admit to the genocide and get away from Russia or no European Union accession. Good luck. Serbia is actually having a countrywide awakening recently, but it's mostly seen on social media. I'm seeing a lot of their profiles being a lot more woke than what they used to be. I'm kind of having hope in Serbia, my dude. I'm having hope in Serbia. I was actually just thinking about it because when we were talking about it on Discord, I made a comment that was like, oh yeah, we and Serbs are kind of like brotherly nations. And I think the difference between us and Serbs being brotherly nations, and like why people perceive it as a negative thing when the same term is being applied to Ukraine and Russia. I think the thing is that Russia is genuinely a danger. Right? Russia is genuinely a fucking danger. Russia actually goes and bombs Ukrainian cities right now. Like Russia is now talking about a genocide. And I think for us in Serbs, it's kind of less of that sort of situation because we are in NATO. Like Serbia can't do shit to us, you know? So as much as we are still obviously pissed off about the fact that they are hiding their war criminals and glorifying their war criminals, Tsetsa still has a show. She's treated as a Kardashian when she is just a slut turned war criminal. At the same time, you're like, Serbia can't really invade us. They can't do shit to us. They have no cash. They have no economy. Their workers come here because we have proper paychecks and they don't. It's, you know, it can't do anything. So when we try to kind of build this relationship with them again, we can afford to do so. Because what are the Serbs going to do about anything, you know? It's not like they can just decide to go and attack the whole of NATO. And, you know, but like for Ukraine and Russia, the situation is obviously much different because Russia is actually right now engaged in a genocidal campaign. So, can't really compare the situations too much. Russia losing in Ukraine would take a lot of wind out of the anti-West attitudes everywhere. Oh yeah, that too. I'm hoping they don't turn themselves into martyrs. Because you know they're gonna try to do that shit. Oh, you know they're gonna try to do this shit. They're already being like, oh yeah, we're fighting for the freedom of the whole world bullshit. Like, who said it? Zakharova, right? Nah, man, if they lose, they're gonna be crying about it forever. When they lose, the first thing you're gonna have to be aware of is that there's going to be like huge tsunamis of Russian tears everywhere. For like a week, you will just have to listen to that crying. And then maybe after that they can actually improve as a country, but bro.
To vote for
I'm
Trump
already
with a
feeling Telegram videos.
Of self-directed disgust.
Yeah,
right?
NATO is fucking based.
This is not a pure and clean.
I hope Russia does test it
for me,
to
but
get
I'm gonna
fucked
do
in the
it
ass.
because it's a way of reacting against institutions and people in these institutions who are evil or who are traitors, who have been taken over by some kind of malign foreign or global forces, and they're working against me now. So
but you know what else? Russia is engaged in a genocidal campaign in Ukraine. They don't hide it. They don't hide this at all. They're not even attempting to hide this. They are openly saying very genocidal shit. And they're openly doing very genocidal shit. Now, there have previously been reports when Surovikin joined the war in Ukraine, there have been reports that Syrians are starting to compile evidence to go to court against Russia too, because Russia has been directly involved into attacks on civilians in Syria. What I'm guessing is that once we get the international court to admit what has been going on, once they have to admit that Russia has been attempting a genocide, once they admit that Russia has been doing several attacks on civilians, deliberate attacks on civilians in different countries, right? I'm assuming a lot of these pro-Russian voices are going to shut the fuck up. Very similarly to Zoka. So if you remember when Vatnik Sup was made on Zoka, who is the Bosnian on Twitter, who was doing a lot of pro-Russian shit, Vatnik Sup was made on him. Immediately, Bosnian local news reported on him. Because Bosnia lived through a genocide attempt by Serbs. Bosnia knows what it feels like. They were pissed off that one of their own was celebrating Russian genocide attempt in Ukraine. Man was immediately in danger of losing a job, immediately ran away from Twitter. Now, I'm hoping a similar situation happens very soon after we manage to cause a defeat for Russia in this invasion. And I'm hoping that immediately when the ICC admits what has been going on, I'm hoping that a lot of these pro-Russians just get scared shitless and stop with their bullshit. Because a lot of them are dishonest on it. They know they're just posting shit to be edgy online. They know they're just doing it to get stupid people to be, you know, clicking on their bullshit. But I don't think they will dare to keep on doing this. If it actually becomes, you know, illegal. Not convinced NATO is brave enough to fight Russia itself. Oh, because of stuff like this? Why is that? Russian fighter? Jet strikes another American drone over Syria in 16th of this month. I don't know. You know what's my thing? I believe USA still fears a possible nuclear attack coming from Russia. And I'm not too happy about them still believing it's a real danger. But it feels like they still believe in it, and they still are trying to be very careful about approaching Russia because they don't want this to turn into a war between two nuclear powers. So I'm not really, you know, I'm not too positive on that shit. Don't the Assad forces have the largest chunk of the country still? Will that make a trial difficult? It will. It definitely will. It definitely will. There still is quite a lot of evidence. Plus, there is quite a lot of... How to say this? There have been entire Twitter compilations of genocidal rhetoric being shared in Syria too. So I'm guessing that even if you can't actually do a proper trial in the country itself, in the very much same way, like for example how Hague Court couldn't do anything to Girkin, right? So it could prove that he is guilty for downing of MH17, but it couldn't actually arrest him because, you know, he's in Russia. Putin's never gonna give him up. ICC could arrest, could issue the arrest warrant for both Putin and Belova. Can't really do much than that. They're in Russia, you know, so we gotta wait. But just the act of doing it, the symbol of doing this, is still very, very, very strong. And I'm hoping it reaches enough political momentum to actually become problematic for people to be supporting these war criminals. Like I'm actually hoping for some charges on genocide denial or cheering for genocide for certain individuals. So I'm guessing when that happens, we're going to see a lot of pro-Russian voices shut the fuck up, which is going to give us the ability to wash down the martyrdom of Russia narrative completely. Because if we don't prosecute these people properly, they're going to stay in media space and we're just forever going to have, you know, idiots claiming that Russia had to start this war because it was provoked. Had to defend itself, whatever the fuck. Sold out the nukes, you think? Who would buy them? China? Maybe took them apart and sold parts. I have actually heard that some of the nukes that they count in Russia's arsenal are nukes that Ukraine gave to Russia. And when Ukraine agreed to give up its nukes, they were already too old. They were old and they were expensive to maintain, which is why Ukraine was relatively okay with letting them be given to Russia in exchange for security assurances, right? They were like, yeah, this is old shit, very, very hard to maintain, very hard monetarily to keep safe. And we're gonna get some cash money plus security assurances. This is okay. They were in a very tough financial situation. They needed this. So I'm guessing if Russia genuinely does count these old-ass nukes in their arsenal still, who the fuck knows what the rest of it is, you know? It's one part of why they're not going to use a nuke is the assured mutual destruction. But I believe the other part of why they're not going to use a nuke in this war is because they can't ensure that the nuke is not gonna just blow the fuck up immediately after they attempt to launch it. They already haven't had too much luck with their equipment during this war. I'm not really sure how much they dare to play with, you know, the famous Russian upkeep of equipment when it comes to a nuke. USA would know that also. Maybe USA does know. Then there would be a question of why doesn't USA go balls deep into this war? So yeah, maybe USA doesn't know because nothing happened. True.
So that's not to say that I'm doing something about which I have a cause and effect account, which tells me how it'll benefit me.
Non-Asian
I don't
entity?
have such an account, and I'm possibly
Like
engaged in magical
Wagner?
thinking. So I'm not voting Trump because that's going to bring about these three consequences by those particular mechanisms. No. I'm acting beyond cause and effect, but I'm acting to give a kick to a kind of institutional establishment.
Yeah, that too.
Is either working against
one
me
nuke
or
would not
has
be enough,
disempowered
definitely.
me, inexcusably, or has betrayed me, and or has become evil as a result of some kind of foreign takeover, globalist takeover, and so on. So that particular way of voting Trump, the self-disgust way of voting Trump, is very important when Trump goes up against Biden, right? So that kind of special tendency or pathology can make a lot of people
Congratulations on Cat.
instinctually vote Trump, even though they don't feel very good about doing so. So the reason I put these couple of things on the table is just to give us the sense that a Trump victory, a Trump presidency, despite everything that's in the news now, is just a coin toss away, right? And if somebody said that Trump is the single most likely individual to be the next president of the United States, that itself would not be a remotely irrational statement. It's profoundly important, especially if you're an American citizen, to not condescend. Because condescending Trump voters is itself going to be a kind of a form of ignorance, a lack of political understanding, right? The very thing that one is trying to accuse these folks of. Partly because it might be that you don't get this business of agency versus fact and how the two clash. Partly it might be because you don't get this business of how we've all got to keep sitting at the table of politics to keep the show on the road, right? And toleration is an important value here. And toleration isn't kumbaya.
I don't want to be tolerant.
Toleration is I don't like you, but we're going to keep sitting together at the table of politics. So there are plenty of illusions in the center and on the left that are also extraordinarily dominant and extraordinarily disfiguring of Western societies and their chances of democratic sustenance, right? So the amount of magical thinking in the center and on the left is...
As far as I figure, when it comes to like how many nukes they can launch, the problem is that we as citizens, we have no knowledge on this. I would assume USA has intelligence on this. USA is probably gonna know the second Russia actually attempts to launch a nuke. USA is gonna know the second they start preparations for the launching a nuke. USA is definitely gonna be aware of it. They definitely know where the nukes are and everything. But I think as civilians, I don't think we know nearly enough. And the way I've figured it, Russians like to overhype their equipment, but they don't seem to be too able to upkeep it properly. So it is a question. Like, on one hand, it's like, oh, Russia is a shithole. So it's very likely that they have, you know, even like selling away parts, it wouldn't be nothing surprising because it's Russia. So there would be a possibility of that. At the same time, it is like, oh, this nation has been involved in war for most of its existence. It's not, I believe, too wild to believe that they might have actually attempted to upkeep these nukes as some sort of a last resort in case one of these wars go badly, because they have been in a war all the time. It's not like they have been peaceful or hoped for peace in the future. It's Russia. They knew they're never going to have peace. I'm 50-50 on how much we know, but I do think that the second they start preparing to launch a nuke, USA is gonna know about it. Maybe it blows up close enough to the ground to blast it still. Oh yeah, no, it would, how to say it? one nuke is enough to cause immense damage to whatever it hits and whatever it explodes above. It doesn't even matter. It's enough to cause immense damage. It is not enough to neutralize your enemy. So I think that's kind of the problem that Russia is facing, right? Like, it could use a nuke right now, could hit close to me, could vaporize everyone in the area of few kilometers. It's not gaining too much. Even if it hits like a strategic place in USA, it's not like you can wipe out the entirety of USA with one nuke. It's not like you can wipe out the allies. You know, it's not like you can wipe them all out at the same time to ensure there's no retaliation. There's going to be someone returning fire at you. So because of this, you know, you don't want to be using a nuke at all. Successful nuclear test fear-mongering before actually using one. I'm kind of hoping we fuck them in the ass before. But yeah, very possible. Also, I think they're already trying to do the preparations in a way with Belarusian aircraft passing over the border to Poland, getting dangerously close. It's like, they're testing NATO, they're testing what NATO's gonna do. Hitting Romania accidentally with their missiles. That time they hit Poland with a rocket, and we all pretended that it's definitely a Ukrainian rocket because it was easier. They're already testing it. We'll just have to see how long it goes. They already destroyed Kakhovka Dam, so it already caused ecocide, not just for Ukraine. And it's, you know, we did nothing. I think they're trying to test how much is going to be allowed. Poland is gathering some forces there in Wagner. There was a situation a couple days ago with Belarusian helicopters. Yeah, I saw that. I do think that Wagner will not invade Poland. And the reason I think Wagner will not try to invade Poland is because there is no justice in this world. And God does not love us enough. Okay, as much as the deity sometimes shows mercy, I don't believe we live in a timeline where we're going to see the funniest possible thing happen, which would be Wagner stepping 1 foot into the border of Poland and getting vaporized on sight. As much as it makes me sad, I don't think this is a realistic thing. I would love to see it though, so I'm not concerned about Poland at all. You know what I mean? I'm not concerned. Even if Belarus itself sends military to join Wagner and they try to go to Poland, I'm not concerned. I'm not concerned in the slightest. Plus, NATO's gonna enter the game at that point, which this would just be good for us. I don't see a way they would do this that would pay off for them specifically. Word for reparations, we're gonna teach them. They don't have to learn the word for it. They can just pay.
It's also very high.
We'll just take their money
it's
and that's
very
it.
important to recognize that.
They can get into the vocabulary, you know, as we go.
Factual truth on the Trump side. Now let's say a bit about Ukraine.
Yeah, fun part.
Big accounts on Twitter were saying the other day, pro-Ukrainian accounts, well, Trump's entrepreneurial, he'll just follow what the polls say, and the polls will say that Americans want to support Ukraine because that's how Americans feel, and they feel that more and more every day. Now, that's not my interpretation at all. I think that in the case of a Trump presidency, what will happen is uncertain, but the default expectation is a tapering down of resupply for Ukraine, followed by Western Europe doing the same.
Also, the thing with like Trump is an entrepreneur, he's going to follow what the people want. He wasn't too smart with a lot of things he was doing during his first presidency. Nor was he too smart when it comes to entrepreneurship, you know, previously, in his years of existing as a very, very fucking rich person. So I very much doubt that we should put too much trust into, you know, Trump and his ability to earn money successfully. Man was blessed by being a useless man born into a very, very rich family, and that's about it.
That's the default scenario. And I tweeted that yesterday, and at the end of that tweet I said Ukraine needs to prepare, and lovely Anna from Ukraine said, okay, well, prepare how?
I know.
And let's try to say a couple of words about that. When I say prepare, I obviously don't mean something moral or spiritual. You could say something like that actually too, because how do you handle a situation where you've got to keep your country? You've got to keep it, you've got to try to make it whole. But the path to doing that isn't clear. You can't sit there and say, okay, to do that I've got to get from A to B to C to D. It's rather that I've got to get from A to C to A to B to C to and D is behind the clouds and you can't see it. You've got to work for it, but you can't see it. And that's a special kind of, right? Living through that is a tough requirement of maturity in a politically tragic world.
Fair comment. Put in moment.
Now, politically,
he hasn't shut his pants in a while. I wonder if he's okay.
The Zelensky government is somewhat tied to the idea of a victorious war and a relatively short war. Relatively short means 1.5 years or 2 years, but not 6. And a victorious war means a war with a genuine prospect of making Ukraine whole again. A non-victorious war, given the massive support, right, it's come from the West. A non-victorious war is a war where Ukraine keeps its independence and maybe does a bit better than that, but that's all. And that's the position of the West. The position of the West, cumulatively speaking, is Ukraine stays independent and maybe does a bit better than that, but we're not supporting Ukraine up to the level of a victory, which means Ukraine can get a victory if there's a military collapse on Russia's part, mediated by morale.
We're making fun of X now. We learned why Poland is a superpower.
Moscow. There's of course another part.
We learned that Serbians started World War I. Sigurd told that so.
Now Russia doesn't want an escalation.
Serbians themselves started it. Just them, no one else. Nothing else happened. It was just Serbia existing and starting World War I.
But if for some reason the Kremlin were to escalate now, and
Serbs took a breath,
do something very dramatic like use non-conventional weapons, that would regalvanize Western support. So that's another possible path to Ukrainian victory on top of Russian collapse. But these paths to victory are not commensurate with the West's primary strategy. That things that happen over and above it or despite it. So certainly domestically, the Zelensky government would be looking for a kind of renegotiation if it looks like it looks now, that Ukraine may be heading towards a longer and less winnable war. Right? And that may be that different things are expected of this government. Different questions, much tougher questions are asked. So that's a complex domestic challenge.
What's the date today?
And over and above that, right, there is just a basic question of setting expectations, right? What can we get out of the West, and what can
I
we
put
not
him
realistic,
on
right? How
125.
How long is it not going to last? Right? Where are we with all of this? Are we waiting for the West to finally wake up and give us more and more rapidly over the next year?
Or are we making our drones
the pinnacle of Western support? Where are we in this, right? Lucidity about that is really important. And the reality of wherever Western support is at, plus, if you like, domestic rhetoric, right, in Ukraine cannot drift too far apart from one another. Right? They're very different things. Building up a country into a fever pitch that may be sustainable for 1.5 years, right, versus a 5-year war, right, which is a completely different type of political emotion that's required. So these are my reflections for the moment. They are sober, but there are possibilities, and there are still possibilities for more support from the West in principle. But the trouble is that...
Wouldn't everyone always say that their opinions at the moment are sober? Feels like an empty addition to your words. You're like, oh yeah, these are my predictions right now. I feel like they're sober. Are they? How do you know? We all think that. When I say that Russia's going to crumble, and while it's crumbling, Putin is gonna shit his pants so hard. We're going to get like 10 live streams of it from his bodyguards mocking him. You know, I would say that's a sober expectation too. I would say there's a big possibility for that based on previous events, but also, it's actually, I'm having like, croissant? What's the word for those? Croissant with chocolate. And the best thing is they're from like yesterday. I just had them in the room. I ate 2 of them yesterday and I'm eating the remaining of them now. The best thing ever. Diabetes rolls, yeah, bro. I've gotten really into croissants recently. I don't even like chocolate. I don't eat sweet stuff. I don't like sweet stuff. I don't like, you know, whatever the fuck, cookies and cakes and bullshit, and just chocolate itself I don't like. But like these ones, they're so good. There's just something about them. How can you be at 3/4 of the video and not have like that? Who the fuck likes videos on YouTube? What boomers do? Boomers do that shit, okay? But yeah, good opinions from Vlad. I see what he means. With like different types of support needed for different... Let me try to find his Twitter to see if he posted something fresh. I see what he means. Where is he? Where's my dude? Where's my man? Yeah, the last thing he posted, I remember, was this. Which is that, how is it? One way to help Ukraine is to keep your democracy. Putin's idea of victory requires Western democracies not just to give up on Ukraine, but to give in to anti-democratic authoritarianism at home. Which, by the way, also I think is connected to the Poland video that we watched on how Poland is becoming Europe's superpower, because at the end of the video they say that there's 2 sides of Poland and they're fighting against each other, and this is weakening Poland. So it doesn't have an external enemy, it has the internal enemy of its own people turning against each other. This is exactly what Russian disinformation has been trying to do in Poland. So, you know, you want to have a proper successful country, you gotta fight against those. Wiki fat. I was thinking about it these days. I would be, fuck, which video did I want to show you? I had one video on like European Union. And I don't know where it is. Fuck, gonna find it. But, what did I want to say? I was thinking about how I would be fat as fuck if we didn't, how would I say it? If we didn't create a sort of a society we have right now where it's more common to offer to people like cookies and bullshit like that instead of offering them savory stuff. I was thinking about it because I have a cousin who's like real fucking fat, okay? I got some fat people in my family. And we were talking on these like related stuff, and on basically I'm finding it very hard to diet. I wanted to diet recently and I'm finding it almost impossible. I just munch and stuff. It's okay because I'm still like in normal body shape, so it's not like, you know, I'm not getting chubby or whatever. It's just that I wanted to do it, and like every time I want to do it I fail. So I was talking to her about this, and she mentioned that she finds it really hard because she goes to like company meetings and stuff like that, and there's always like some cookies or whatever, you know, you get like coffee and you get little cookies, and she always eats a bunch of these. And I remember being like, bro, if that was my biggest issue, dude, that'd be skinny as fuck, right? Like imagine being on like a company event and there's cookies on the table and you take them. What a fucking loser are you? Okay, like why would you take cookies when they're on offer? It's sweet shit, yeah. And then I was like, but imagine Imagine if you go to a company event and there's like barbecue on the table. Bro, I would... Dude. If I were to go with someone on a coffee or something and they would offer me like barbecue on the side, dude, I would be fat as fuck. If that was a normal thing in society to just offer to people, my man. Like now I go to quite a lot of family events, birthdays and bullshit, but they always offer me cake and I never take cake because I don't like cake. But bro, if they offered me some sausages or whatever the fuck, damn. I'm so happy to be living in a society where they don't offer you meaty shit. Because bro, I would never get the kilos off. Free alcohol, yeah, that too. Cevaps from Bogojevo. I was in one really good restaurant in Serbia recently. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's close. It's not in Bogojevo. Sausage fan. It's not in Bogojevo, but it's relatively close to the border anyways. It's called Blue something. Blue something. Blue Rose? Plava Ruža, bre. I don't know, something like that, but it's really good. So I recommend that one. Yeah, it's not really closer, but it's close. It's very close. I recommend going there. It's genuinely really good as a restaurant. The prices are really okay-ish. So you know, I'm just saying. It would possibly pay off, but probably has better food than Bogojevo, because Bogojevo is like okay-ish, but this one is actually good. Apatin could be Apatin. I'm not sure. I don't know where it is because I found the restaurant's name on social media, and then I put it into GPS and I drove to it, but I had no idea where I was. Well, let me see. Oh, fine dining. They have really good waiters, and they allowed my aunt to steal one of their coffee cups. So that was good. Foods and stuff, yeah. As you know, surprising from a restaurant. I didn't have too many pictures. Fuck, I thought I would have more pictures of the entire thing, because they're close to the river. They were genuinely really good. The downside being the fact that they're Serbian. But yeah, apart from that, really good. I love a restaurant that has food. Yeah, you know, compared to like restaurants where it doesn't. Where's my fucking European Union video? There was one European Union video that I wanted to show here, and then I wanted to end the stream. And I've lost it. Poland's military buildup. It wasn't that one. It wasn't this one. It wasn't this one. We can watch Poland's military buildup though. Since we're talking about, you know, the superiority of Poland.
The war in Ukraine is a moment of transition.
Oh yeah, by the way, also, there's a new restaurant supposed to be opening somewhere here in the nearby area. So I'm going to check that out once it fucking opens, because it was supposed to be open like 2 months ago and it still didn't. There's one really good though in, I don't know how much you go locally. Hotel Donaveti Lok, where I was left hungry after a meal twice. Oh, I was left hungry, no, not hungry, thirsty in Bogojevo once. But they had like a rush. There was way too many people there. And we came in, we wanted to have like a quick meal, but they told us that they're having too many people, so they can't serve us a meal anytime soon, so then we kind of just gave it up. But we asked for Coca-Cola, and we got it warm. Like warm. Just, it is as if it was heated, warm. Dalj has Stari Mlin. And Dalj used to have warm cocks. And Dalj used to have Bakina Kucha, which is now closed because the owner he didn't clean his car windows properly during the winter, and then he hit some granny on a bicycle with his car accidentally, and then she died. So he closed the restaurant because he went to prison. So, but Stadium Lane still works. That one still works. And there's another one opening somewhere nearby, but I can't figure out where because it's just not opening. He refuses to fucking open. If coke is sold warm, it's undrinkable. That's true. That should be illegal. Immediately. Wow! A restaurant offers you that shit. Immediately there should be jail time. Hey, that's cool looking. I always loved their little decorations. Oh, they used to be having the best ones. Nice though. Stadium Lane restaurant in Croatia. Nice. I didn't know you were around. That's fucking cool. What's Flickr, by the way? Can I follow you on Flickr? What's Flickr? Do you post stuff on Flickr? I have never seen that website being used. Yeah, it was nice. It's held by rich people.
The
So I
security
discriminate
architecture in
against
the
it.
region and the world as a whole is changing rapidly, and various international
100
actors are
years.
trying
I
to
always
turn
hear
this
about
to
it
their
and I
own
never go there.
advantage, including Poland. Warsaw is carrying out
Never
an
heard about that.
unprecedented military build-up program, worth over $130 billion. The target cost of which could be as much as 3 times that amount.
Oh.
There is no doubt that a large part of this move is being driven by Russian imperialism. But the project also has a double bottom. A large army and close cooperation with the Republic of Korea
Oh, nice.
could be Warsaw's wider plan to form a new bloc of...
Whoa! Whoa, that's cool shit. You're selling these? Whoa! 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 I need to buy some prints. Can I buy some prints? Can you buy some prints? The ones that don't have faces in them can be licensed. So like I could go and buy a print. Nice. Make you prints. Yeah, that's true. Nice though. Oh, that is fucking cool. How long have you been doing this shit? No, wait, you've been working 708 photos. Holy crap. And now I like this one. Hey, Yodal. Well, I like this one. I used to be making prints locally in some, how were they called? They were doing like little plastic thing prints. That was really cool when I was selling them around. Illustration prints and stuff like that. It was really easy to just kind of print it on that shit locally and just like ship it away. It was really cheap too. So
states in the center of Europe.
Most of this stuff will take a long,
semi-peripheral status vis-a-vis
fucking
the
longest
West.
time to be produced in Central
How does
Poland.
Poland
Shit.
want to do this? Welcome to the 20s report.
50 euros, holy shit.
Consider leaving a like if you enjoyed the video to aid the algorithm.
Not cheap
Let's
indeed.
start with the numbers. What's all the fuss about?
What's all the fuss
The
about?
government in Warsaw is in the process of implementing more than 20 significant procurement programs for the Polish armed forces. Most of them originate from the Technical Modernization Plan, a document defining the modernization of the Polish army between the year 2017 and 2026. Nevertheless, in fact, the vast majority of the orders have been announced in the last few months only. These programs are at the various stages of advancement, but the Polish Ministry of Defense declares its intention to acquire them all. The list covers the entire spectrum
You
of
should do
state-of-the-art
photography of
systems
military shit.
needed on the modern battlefield.
I need
Starting
the
with
print of
aircraft,
like a
the list
tank on my
includes the
wall.
world's best multi-role aircraft, the American-made F-35, or the Korean FA-50, designed to replace the Soviet MiG-29s. These will be supported by the F-16s, already present in Poland. The helicopter base would be reinforced with almost 100 American Apache AH-64s and more than 50 aircraft from the British-Italian conglomerate AgustaWestland, plus drones, Bayraktar, Reaper, Gladius or Warmate. Watching developments in Ukraine, Warsaw also wants to have the best artillery forces in Europe. This would certainly be the case after acquiring nearly 500 launchers of H-142 HIMARS rocket artillery, or nearly 300 K-239
Oh, give me some secret signals.
Korean equivalents of HIMARS.
What do you think
whereas
of
nearly
Serbs?
400 Polish Krabs or Korean K9A1s would form the core of the self-propelled artillery. The
Heavies
fifth of the
are the
ground
bane of
forces,
Finnish
however,
anti-air
would be
doctrine.
tanks.
Why?
More than 350 US Abrams, and eventually up to 1,000 Korean K2, or the Polish variant of this tank,
How many of them are left?
K2PL, supported by more than 1,000 Borsuk and
Didn't
Rosomak
some of
combat
them get
vehicles.
destroyed?
In addition, the Poles already have more than 200 Leopard 2 tanks. The airspace is to be
Ring.
controlled by the Vistula, Narew and Pilica systems, based on American
You
Patriots,
already
British
rinking.
CAMS and Polish Piorun and Grom systems, respectively. Reconnaissance is to be
I'm planning
provided
to
by
drink on
French
Saturday.
satellites, Swedish AWACS, and Polish
Maybe
fly-out
Friday,
drones.
because I don't work Saturday.
This will be complemented
Tomorrow's
by the
Friday.
missile frigates,
I could buy some
built in
beer for
consortium
tomorrow.
with the British. These are just the major orders or plant acquisitions, which already exceed $130 billion. But that's not all. This equipment must be used and maintained by an army of soldiers, up to twice the size of the current one. Poland currently can deploy about 150,000 soldiers, including the territorial defense forces. By 2035, this figure is expected to rise to 300,000. Now,
Nice.
knowing the output, let's ask why. What is it for?
What do you mean, why?
The reasons are many. The first is history.
Why
Ads
he
help us
goes in the
improve
middle
our
of
content.
fucking
Now
huge
it's time
ass
to
war.
mention the sponsor of today's episode, Speakly. We are often overwhelmed by new challenges. In the case of learning a
am.
new language, we can be intimidated by the number of unknown words, the variety of grammatical forms, or the difficulty of pronunciation. That's
True.
why it is so important to support yourself with the right tools from the beginning.
True.
This is where Speakly can help. Speakly is an intuitive application that helps you get started, making the process itself enjoyable and easy. Created by two polyglots, the Speakly system allows you to learn a new language much faster. This is because it focuses on using only the necessary words and expressions for everyday communication. On the
First
other
word
hand,
you
you won't
learn
get
is
bored
pussy.
during the whole process, thanks to a variety of tasks that take into account writing, speaking, and listening. Try Speakly for free for 7 days and get a 60% off after subscribing to a 1-year learning plan. Poland has paid a high
Based.
price for its weakness.
This is it in
over the past
Croatian, if
300
anyone's
years.
interested.
Institutional weakness and consequently military weakness led to a loss of self-determination
Means
for
I will fuck
almost
your mother.
200 years. With a brief interlude of freedom in the
It's a
interwar
warm way
period,
to say it.
it led to whole generations living under partitions of various kinds and in conditions of servitude to the interests of other nations. It also led to the deaths of millions in the face of uprisings, deportations, and wars fought in the hope of regaining freedom and agency. During this period, many nations between Berlin and Moscow and further east suffered as
There's a joke here. And I don't know how to translate it, but like I already paused the video to talk about this, so now I'll have to. But there's a joke here that we have a future past tense. Is it about Bosnia specifically? Cause it's they have a common swear in a way, but it says that I will have fucked your mother is basically the translation. So like jebo sam ti majku kad se nešto dogodi. I have fucked your mother when something happens in the future, but like it has already happened, so it's like future past tense. And I always remember that one because it used to be like a big joke when we were doing the a folklore thing with Hungarians, and we were trying to teach them how to say it properly, and it was really hard for them to figure it out because they don't have proper tenses the way we have tenses, so they're like trying to express it, but it makes no sense in Hungarian, but also it makes no sense in ours. So that was my like favorite joke on that. Moms are used much? Yeah, moms are used much. Also, when you say Maiko, that's like the respectable way to say mother. So it's like, I will fuck your mother, and it's a good one. But you have also way less respectable ways to refer to one's mother, and in that case it becomes even worse of a swear. So that's also fun. I know that Ukrainian has similar words, at least for jebanie. Last partition of Poland can still be seen in their ways of voting. The Russian Empire-occupied parts vote more conservative, while German Empire vote more liberal. Oh! The day will come I'll have fucked your mom. Yeah, basically, yeah, that's, I think, a good way to say it, yeah. Like, in the future, I will have fucked her. As long as they're fucking old, yeah. I mean, it doesn't really make sense here.
Similar fate. This sometimes hopeless struggle came to a happy end in 1989, when Poland became the first country in the Soviet bloc to hold free elections and get back on its feet, once again. Although the Poles themselves, and I, the author of this script, am one of them, do not often realize it, yet the last 30 years have certainly been the best period for the nation in the last 400 years. Perhaps even in its entire history.
Fake
Although
news.
Poland has not been without its problems, the country has come out of its misery to achieve economic growth second only to China's during this period. The Polish economy, along with other Central and Eastern European economies, is on its way to catching up with Western Europe. Until recently, millions of Poles emigrated to the West to take up the most menial jobs. Now it is Poland that is often the destination of economic immigration. In a word, Poland had the time and capacity
I have hopes
to build
Croatia
capital.
will see this too.
The opportunity it had not had for the last few hundred years. But the threats remained. Other countries in Central and Eastern Europe also have a similar success story and also face similar threats. While the first of the two main causes of Polish tragedies in the last few centuries, German imperialism, has been widely suppressed, the second, Russian imperialism, has thus undergone successive incarnations. We could see the first movements of the transformed Russian imperialist Hydra already in 2008, during the invasion of Georgia. In the years that followed, the Poles and the rest of the region warned loudly against Moscow's policies,
It was unofficial?
which, as everyone already mentioned, were ignored in the West. However, concrete steps to improve Poland's own military capabilities were neglected. Polish leaders seemed to place all their hopes in NATO and American military omnipotence. While a high degree of confidence in the capabilities of an alliance is fundamental to the functioning of any collective, this was an irresponsible action, given the rapidly destabilizing security architecture in Europe under the influence of the Kremlin's actions.
True.
Collective defense requires collective commitment, especially from a country in such a place in the world, and with such historical experience. Meanwhile, not even the Russian annexation of Crimea or the fighting over the Donbass has mobilized successive ruling camps to decisively and rapidly expand the capabilities of the Polish military. Even if in the event of a Russian invasion and the activation of NATO's Article 5, the Americans and the rest of the alliance were to act immediately to defend Poland, the war would continue on Polish territory for the first days, weeks, and according to some, even months.
Look at
Thousands of
Lithuania
people
up
would
there
have
looking
died,
very, very
and
vulnerable.
the country would have been ruined. Suffices to say that on February 24th, 2022, Ukraine had a much stronger army than Poland, and a potential Russian raid on Warsaw from the Belarusian border would have ended much worse than the Russian offensive on Kyiv, which ultimately failed. It took Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine to shake up Polish policymakers and lead to the launch of procurement programs. Most of those mentioned
Worse
at the
military
outset
than
have already moved
Ukraine
to
at the time?
implementation after February 24th, 2022.
As a NATO member?
So, although there are many reasons for a massive increase in the potential of the Polish army, more on this in a moment, the fundamental reason is to avoid history repeating itself. Many of its moments, the partitions at the end of the 18th century, unsuccessful uprisings, or the carnage that the World War II brought to this region. While such arguments are difficult to refute,
You
and
think
there
that was
is,
a
in
mistake?
principle, a social consensus on the need to strengthen the Polish armed forces. The policy and
I've seen people
implementation
claim
of the
they
Polish
didn't
armed
want it
forces
because they didn't want
modernization
to
plan have been met with criticism.
have a part with so many
Modernization
Russians
of the Polish military is well
in the
overdue.
country.
This is the main
Because
accusation.
it could
There
influence
have been
the
many
voting
signals
patterns.
over the past 2 decades that the issue have been taken seriously, but it took a full-scale war on Poland's eastern border to force Warsaw into action. Poland wants to increase its capabilities in the short term dramatically. This puts Warsaw in a weak negotiating position with potential contractors and drives up the price. The price is also being driven up by the war in Ukraine itself, which is creating demand for all kinds of munitions and military technology, while global supply is severely limited. Poland, therefore, having in principle a good strategic understanding, made no use of this fact and did not start its own force modernization earlier. The result is billions of dollars more in costs and long times of delivery, and all this with an aggressive Russia in the east. One consequence of the hectic pace is the lack of time for multi-dimensional analysis of the needs of the Polish armed forces. It is hard to talk about such an analysis when programs worth billions of dollars are announced one after the other within the space of a few months. As a result, some purchase decisions, such as the decision to buy FA-50 aircraft or plans to buy nearly 100 very expensive American Apache helicopters, are often questioned by military analysts.
Yeah, Romania is
Perhaps
doing
even more
amazing,
important
isn't
case
it?
is the degree of Polish industrial presence
Romania
and
lately has
technology
been doing
transfer
really,
in the
really
overall
great.
modernization process. Some of the orders will be manufactured in Poland to some extent, but the fact of suddenly buying equipment, often, quote, off the shelf, unquote, naturally has a negative impact on the development of the domestic defense industry and creates an outflow of capital from the country. Finally, can Poland afford such a massive army? The spending of $130 billion, the equivalent of Ukraine's national GDP, is only the procurement part. Analysts estimate that procurement accounts for only 30% of future maintenance and upkeep costs.
Okay,
Thus,
but like
the
per
total
year?
cost of current arms programs over the next 30 to 40 years could reach up to $500 billion.
Yeah, but per year it's less.
And let us not forget that we are talking about a medium-sized European country. That is also why Warsaw's announcement that it will increase its defense spending to 4% or even 5% of GDP, the highest level in NATO, is not just a short-term measure, but a commitment for decades. In addition to the financial issue, there are concerns that modernization will not be able to cope with Poland's demographics. With one of the lowest birth rates in the world, increasing the number of soldiers in the army from 150,000 to 300,000 is troublesome, to say the least. That said, can Poland afford such an effort? The best answer, given Poland's history, would be that Poland cannot afford not to make that effort. But the implementation process itself would have been much better. Now that we know the main reason why Poland is building one of the strongest armies in Europe, and leaving aside economic fundamentals and implementation, let's look at the structure of foreign partners. Returning to the overview from the beginning of the material, we can quickly identify 3 trends. First, the dominance of the Anglo-Saxons, especially the Americans. Second, the near complete lack of European partners. Third, South Korea. And they are all interconnected.
Korea.
The Americans are traditionally seen in Poland as the most crucial allies, which is historically rooted in similar interests in the old continent. The Americans have always opposed the German-Russian rapprochement, which is the vital interest of Poland as well. Moreover, among NATO members, Washington has by far the greatest capacity and motivation to come to Poland's aid should Article 5 of the North Atlantic Treaty be activated.
I mean, he does mean
has an industry
USA
to provide
and
Warsaw with the needed
the
capabilities.
Brits, right?
The French and Germans in particular. Nevertheless, the years of pre-war rapprochement between Berlin and Paris and Moscow deepened the Polish mistrust towards German and French capitals, especially on such a sensitive issue as security. The policies of Berlin and Paris at the beginning of the invasion of Ukraine only deepened this distrust. Warsaw feared a scenario in which, if it were Poland which Russia attacked, the supply of spare parts for German tanks or French helicopters, for example, could be sanctioned by French and German interests rather than the Polish ones. This could take the form, for example, of imposing peace on the Poles against their will. Reports of such proposals to the Ukrainians widely circulated in the media, especially in the first months of the war. A third player, South Korea, fit the puzzle perfectly. It was the alternative Warsaw needed. While the Americans may have common security interests with Poland, they are not necessarily interested in transferring key technologies to Poland, or in lowering the price when the customer is desperate to buy the product. The Koreans, on the other hand, have seized the moment to make an offer that is not only often more economically feasible, but also opens up new opportunities for Warsaw. The Koreans are not only offering to transfer technology in the perspective of Polish variants of the K2PL tank, for example, but it looks they also want to establish a permanent military industry bridgehead in Europe with the Poles,
Man, I'm going
which
to
could
eat
eventually
after this
compete
video.
with the German and French arms
I'm
industry.
gonna have some
Apart from
burek.
Poland, there are many potential customers, in particular Ukraine, but also, for example, Romania, which shares many interests, or the Baltic states. South Korea is therefore
Actually,
both
yeah,
a
Romania
bargaining
also
chip
has
for
very good
Poland
reasons to
in its talks
improve
with
their
the
military,
Americans,
right?
and an alternative to European partners, which could become its competitors. Thus, in the short to medium term, the Polish army is to be able to defend the country against Russia, or even better, deter Moscow from any aggressive moves. The aim is also to replace the loss of military equipment that Warsaw has handed over in large quantities to Ukraine. Nevertheless, a powerful army could provide Poland with the basis for projects that go beyond the most basic objective of defending its independence. Some see this as a first step towards realizing the idea of an intermarium, a bloc of Central and Eastern European states with similar interests, seeking to counterbalance the economic dominance of Berlin and Paris and the military dominance of Moscow. The idea is not new, but so far Warsaw has little to offer potential partners, even though they have might considered such a route for the region. This may now change. Poland's military buildup will create an army that may even exceed its needs. Therefore, Warsaw could offer to extend its own security architecture to countries in the region that seek deterrence against similar threats. The ultimate goal would be to create a bloc that would speak with a common voice in Europe and the world. There is no doubt that Poland's most important partner in such a project would be post-war Ukraine, which would also be a regional military power in its own right. The Baltic states would also share a similar interest. Romania and Moldova, free of Russian influence, cannot be ruled out either. Belarus would also be key in the event of the fall of the Lukashenko regime.
Wow.
Belarus is another reason for the need to modernize the Polish armed forces. The news about the Wagner group is one thing, but if the regime in Minsk collapses, instability could spread to Poland.
I'm not seeing this,
a
by the way.
civil war could also break out, and Warsaw would want to support one side or the other, most likely in alliance with Ukraine. To do that, you surely need a big enough military stock. And so Warsaw is already quietly implementing the measures described above. The most important is, of course, close cooperation with Ukraine in the military, economic and social spheres. But other initiatives are also underway. At the beginning of June, Polish President Andrzej Duda presented his Lithuanian counterpart, Gitanas Nausėda, with a proposal for the deployment of Polish troops in Lithuania. The Lithuanian described the proposal as very interesting. The Polish military contingent is already stationed in the Latvian town of Adar. Poland also wants to support Moldova, a country constantly penetrated by Russian influence. Chisinau recently received from Warsaw 6 planes with weapons for the Moldovan police. Poland therefore wants to become an entity that is not only a security recipient, but also its donor. But while supra-regional cooperation on security issues between Warsaw and the regional capitals is conceivable, it cannot be sustained long-term without an economic setting based on technological development. And in this respect, Germany's dominance is unquestionable. Poland's GDP is nominally 6 times smaller than Germany's. given that the creation of a consolidated bloc of states east of the Oder River is not in Berlin's interest, it can be assumed that the Germans will suppress
Croatia
any
isn't
attempts
even on
at
the list, we're
consolidation.
so useless.
And to counter this, Germany simply has
Romania
much
third, though.
greater financial capacity than Warsaw. In this context, the issue of South Korea is relevant once again. When discussing the prospect of intermarium, the economic argument was usually the logical end of the discussion. The project simply has no economic basis without the Germans. For a while, Warsaw hoped that perhaps the Americans, without looking at the Germans, would make a wave of investments in the region that would ensure economic development. But this has never happened on the required scale. Although the US company
Betrayal.
Intel is opening a semiconductor assembly and testing plant in Poland, worth almost $5 billion,
French
Intel's
foreign
more
legion.
important and 4
Small
times
unit
more
is going to either
expensive factory
Estonia or
will most
Poland
likely be built near the German
to
city
help
of
out with
Magdeburg.
things.
The same is true of Tesla's choice of location for its
I
Gigafactory.
hope he's
Poland was
safe
considered, but the final choice was
in
Berlin.
whatever he does.
With such investments, Germany can always offer investors bigger subsidies and concessions than Poland. Intel in Magdeburg, for example, is expecting up to $10 billion in subsidies
Bro.
from the Germans.
Nice.
Meanwhile, Korea, as one of the world's economic powerhouses, competes with German manufacturers in many areas, such as the automotive and arms industries. Seoul could therefore act as a kind of technological accelerator for the new bloc, without having to look to the Americans. Korea and Poland are not only
Yeah, I wonder
cooperating
what
on
it
a
is.
multi-billion-dollar military contract. The Korean conglomerate LG has Europe's largest battery factory near Wrocław, while
Oh.
Poland's energy transformation is to include a nuclear power plant built in partnership with Korea's KHNP. Warsaw and Seoul are also discussing cooperation in the automotive sector, including electric cars.
Jumped out of
The
chopper.
president of the Polish
Had
Investment and
his
Trade Agency,
parachute not
Paweł
open.
Kurtasz, said that 14
Survived it
investment
and returned
projects
to the
worth
Legion?
nearly 4 billion euros were currently underway in cooperation with South Korea. This would result in the employment of
Why are you hanging around
5,500
with, like,
people if they
X-Men?
came to fruition. This naturally leads to points of contention on the Berlin-Warsaw-Seoul triangle. These can already be seen today, for example, looking on the energy market. The Germans are pushing ahead with their strategy of phasing out
Mixed
nuclear
feelings?
power, while at the same time criticizing Polish plans to build
I
nuclear
feel
power stations, with
Elon
among others,
Musk destroyed them
Korean
for me.
participation. We should also mention a dispute between the American company Westinghouse and the Korean KHNP over using Westinghouse nuclear technology. Both companies are to build nuclear power stations in Poland. In summary, the trilateral convergence of interests between Poland, Korea and the Central Eastern European countries could be described as follows. Poland reforms and modernizes its armed forces using Korean technology, among others, then extends a medium-sized security umbrella over the countries of the region, probably supported by the battle-hardened Ukrainian army. Seoul provides the region with technology and investment,
Oh shit.
offering an alternative to Germany's
Hey, I
hitherto
added
monopolistic
the
position
flag to the
in
other
region.
screen. I didn't even add it
For
to this
Central
one.
European countries, including
You
Poland,
reminded me I
the
need to
aim
do
will be
that.
to escape subcontractor status
It's
in
in
the
the
German
big
supply
chatting, but
chain
I'm editing
and
the
break
big
the glass
chatting to have a
ceiling
smaller
of being
camera.
in an economically and technologically peripheral
This one,
position
no.
compared to
I
Western
actually
Europe.
haven't.
For Korea, the
I've
obvious
seen
impetus would be
it
to
like a
enter
few
the
times,
European
that's
market
it.
in a big way and provide its
I don't know
industry
rich people.
with a magnitude of orders for decades. All this is happening with a tacit encouragement of the Americans, for
Wait,
whom a
Korea
solid
flag.
wedge between Germany and Russia is a desirable arrangement. Some would argue that the US even supports such plans. Washington is establishing the permanent headquarters of the 5th US Army Corps in Poland. Until now, Germany was the site of the most easterly permanent American stationing. The US is also the largest supplier of arms to Poland, and 2 of the 3 nuclear power plants are to be built in cooperation with the
35
American
euros?
company Westinghouse. In addition, there is the aforementioned Intel plant.
Just 35
and
euros? I can do
billion-dollar
that.
investments by
I
Microsoft
can do that. I can
or
buy one of
Google.
those.
The fact
Gonna
that
need
the
to save
entire
up
group of
with.
states in the region share a common history and often common oppressors is also inevitably important for the project's success, which again converts into a common
Tiny
worldview.
Germany.
The
Bring tiny
consolidation
Germany
of this
back.
area is a somewhat structural and
Bring small
historical
Germany back.
phenomenon, as was proven by the centuries-old project of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. Still, the desire to bring the medieval colossus back to life in a new reality can be described only as a utopia. The most likely scenario is an informal coalition of states speaking with one voice on security issues and key development branches. Coordination of the bloc could occur through existing formats, such as the Free Seas Initiative, the Bucharest Nine, or the
Can have Berlin.
On the other hand, the Visegrad Group is unlikely to be relevant and will lose importance.
So many Croatians already are in Germany. I feel like we own part of it right now. There's ethnic Croatians in Germany and they feel oppressed because they have to learn German.
Moreover, Ukraine's admission
So I feel like
into
their
NATO
land
structures
should just be
would
given over to
potentially
Croatia.
further strengthen the prospects of such an initiative. The new bloc, whatever it might be called, would not be in opposition to the European Union. Given Brussels' strong support in the
Russophobia
region,
bloc.
this is rather out of the question. The unprecedented modernization of the Polish armed forces is therefore a multifaceted event. At the most basic level, it is intended to help defend the country against the real threat of aggression from the Russian Federation. Although Moscow is bleeding in Ukraine, in the event of a cessation of hostilities and a change in the international situation, it has the opportunity to reconstitute its forces in the foreseeable future, thus continuing to pose a threat to Poland and the region. On the second level, Warsaw, in partnership with the Koreans, wants to create an armaments base in Europe that could compete with the French, German or Italian military centers. It would feed off the growing demand for military equipment in Europe and the rest of the world, caused by the unstable international situation. However, the main customers would be most likely Poland and Ukraine.
True.
Finally, the military power, arms industry and technological know-how provided by the Korean Corporation would allow Poland and other countries of the region to form a bloc of states in Central
Yeah,
and
we
Eastern
should
Europe
take over part
with
of
similar
Germany.
intentions,
Now that you say it, we
challenging
should
the
really
region's
do that.
semi-peripheral position vis-a-vis
I don't know why
Western Europe.
we didn't think of that
This is
earlier.
not about weakening ties with the West.
There's so
or
many of our
breaking
people
the EU
there.
treaty, but about changing their relationships.
They don't
status
have
from
schools
that of
in
a junior
Croatian.
partner to the equal one. Of course, there are
They are
thousands
forced
of
to learn a
reasons why this
foreign
plan could
language.
fail, but this seems to be the strategy that Warsaw
They're
is
forced to
currently
eat German
pursuing.
food, which is actually a internationally recognized form of torture.
Analyst, and she suggested that if I want the channel to
So,
grow,
yeah.
I should ask our audience for feedback.
Yeah, also. If it was just forcing us to drink German beer, I would be like, yeah, that's okay. Their beer is actually pretty good. Like, have you seen German food? Have you seen the white sausage things that they eat? My man. Man. Map of the Holy Roman Empire. Whoa. The fuck, which one? Where's Germany? Whoa. I've never really... Holy shit! Brandenburg. Böhmen. Österreich. Hey, Bayern. Where's me? Shit, where am I now? Oh, the sea. Here's me. Oh! Look how they massacred my boy. We're missing half a country. We're missing half a country. Our country is basically just the fish people. Just the Holy Roman Empire. How does the joke go? It was not holy nor Roman nor an empire. By the way, I added the camera on this, the flag on this one actually, but I didn't add it on the other one. So that's kind of sad. That is kind of sad. Should have had it on both. Let me try to see if I can refresh this. Let me see. So it's not as blurry anymore. See, I can actually. I can. And then I can do this. And then I can do this. Look at our consume being logistic to fully lighten up. But I have to leave too. I have to go, my dears. Zeng is saying. I want to know the fish people areas, to be completely honest with you. I know the normal people areas, which is not fish people pots, okay? Once they show me where Osik is, I'll be able to figure out what sort of an opinion I have on that. But, you know, as long as I didn't have that. But also, I have to be going. I have to be leaving. Nice. If I open another tab in the flag one, it just like opens Topsen and you have a tiny crumb of his stream. But I have to be going. So tomorrow's stream, tomorrow is Friday. I'm planning to go through European Parliament tomorrow to go through a bunch of representatives because we need to go through our current representatives. Also, I was planning to go through the European Parliament votes in previous years to see how votes of each country have moved, but to be completely fair, I was never a big history buff. I learned like yesterday that European Parliament voting started in 1979, so it turned out there were a lot more voting years than I thought there would be. I thought there would be like a couple of them, but then there was a whole bunch, and then I was like, nah, I don't feel like looking into this. It was way too late in the evening. But we do need to go through that because it actually shows you how certain countries voted for like anti-European Union parties and then they switched to pro-European Union parties. There was this one fun anti-European Union coalition of parties in European Union that European Union people could vote for, and then it crumbled because of course it did. Why do you have an anti-European Union coalition in European Union? It makes no sense. But we need to go through these. So I really want you to be doing smart voting next time, okay? And I think that's it. So you have a link to Topsen. Here's the link to Topsen a few more times. The kick link. I need to just like make a command. It needs to be like Topsen, and then you get a link to his stream, so we can do unofficial raids there. But yeah, I'll be running right now. I have to go to eat. I have to go to sleep because I'm working tomorrow. So I'm not working the day after, but I am working tomorrow. So I will send thoughts and prayers and also beer if you have some. I am running. I am escaping. Say hi to Topsen. I'm gonna try to join his stream very soon. You can actually you actually can use his emotes. Oh, it's another Twitch Global. Ah, shit, bro. I was like, oh, maybe he got unbanned. Got me hopeful there for a second. But yeah, pray he comes back. Let's go see what he is doing. Let's go speak to him. I'm gonna be having my dinner soon. Also gonna be playing some TFT. I really feel like playing TFT. They got a new update recently and I'm really into playing it. I should be doing, you know what I should be doing? I should be playing Teamfight Tactics, like under the stream. And it's going to be playing the part of those salad cutting videos you have on TikTok. So it's like, here's a YouTube video teaching you stuff about politics, here's me in the corner existing, and then here's a screen down there in which I'm playing Teamfight Tactics, and then I'm like bombarding you with stuff to focus on. And also I'm playing Teamfight Tactics. I want to get a good rank this season. But yeah, see you tomorrow. Good luck, stay strong, eat something good, go